Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the second semi-final of the Under-20 Championship. This one's South Africa taking on Argentina, a rematch of a game we saw earlier this year in the Under-20 Rugby Championship comp. Looking through at the starting lineups for these two sides, tell you who's a very welcome sight, and that is Vusi Moyo in the number 10 jersey. He went off the field last game with a head knock. Luckily, though, he is all right because he has been sensational off the kicking tee as well as setting up this backline, partnering with him in that 9-10 channel. It is Hassim Pede, who honestly looks like a future Springbok star if he continues playing the way he has. He has been setting up absolutely everything, and that 9-10 combo is so dangerous for the Junior Boks. And at this contest in the back three, they have got, of course, that pure pace of Cheswell Juster out on the right. Any sort of breakaway, that man will be scoring. Jaco Williams out on the other side due to that injury of Ndlozi that we saw about a week or so ago. They gave Jaco the start last match, and he managed to get himself the 2 tries. Mento in the number 15 jersey, and then we see Erasmus and Bester back in the midfield like they were for the first match. In that 4-pack, some dangerous players. Klachane starts at 7, rather. They're making his way off the bench. Nebeleli has had a standout tournament. Honestly, this whole Springbok side is good enough to win this game, and Argentina will have to play well if they do want a chance of the victory. In the front row, they have got Rapeti as the 3, Horia as the number 1. This is I will say, a underrated Argentine side. They have got a lot of talent. They haven't quite put together the big results that people have expected of them, as we will show a little bit later on. A couple close games for the Argentines, but that has actually been a bit of a bonus for them because they have still scored the 4 tries in each of those 2 first matches, getting the bonus points. But watch out for Silva as well as Listano out on the left wing side, and then of course that 9-10 combo too. But looking at the previous results, we will start with Argentina. They had their close game up against the Welsh, in which they did win by 7 points, 34 points to 27. They then had a close game with Spain, 33 points to 30, which I do think the way that Spain played, it was extremely impressive. But Argentina, theoretically on paper, should have beaten them by a lot more in terms of who was in the side for that matchup. And then also their last game up against the French, they did need the bonus point to be able to move through to the next stage. Had they lost that game without the extra try, it would have meant that England would play in South Africa in this game. So Argentina doing just enough, 52 points to 26. Of course, not quite the result you want to have heading into a semi-final. You'd love to be heading in with a win, and that is exactly what the South Africans had, and boy did they win it by emphatic fashion. 73, quite a common number for the South Africans in this comp. 73 points to 17, the win over the Australians. 32 versus 22 in that game up against England. That was the big match that decided who went through and who potentially missed out. England unable to get any sort of bonus point from that match. Had they received 1 or 2, they would have actually been high enough to make their way through to that semi-final. 73 points to 14, the most recent victory for South Africa. I don't know about records, but to be honest, having 2 games with 73 and the other with 32 has got to put them right up there in terms of one of the highest group stage points differentials, or not just differentials, but more so most points scored across the 3 games in the under-20s. But in the chat, we have got there, good luck, no headbutts, mate, says Shane, of course, in reference to Jasper V. So I think that this young team, though, they will keep that discipline under control. Of course, it will get heated at times. It always does when there is a lot on the line. But yeah, I can see them controlling their discipline in this match quite nicely. South Africa, what times or what games are you doing Saturday? We are going to be doing the New Zealand versus France. We will be doing South Africa versus Georgia, the British and Irish Lions against Australia, and then also the Under-20s final. Will be taking place at 6:30, so it actually does overlap with a couple other games. But we'll be trying our best to get that one going. We have got there. Hi, Hamish. Good morning, says Michelle. Welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Good evening, Hamish. How have you been today? I have been excited for these 2 matches, if I'm being honest. We were doing some editing earlier on. I managed to sneak 2 hours in before this game takes place. But I'm ready to see some very good rugby between these 2 sides. I've mentioned about it. South Africa, for me, are the favourites to win this whole competition. But that kind of pressure can sometimes get to a side just a little bit. And Baby Boks will dominate, says LFG. And hi again, everyone, says Lydia B. Welcome in. And backline blockbuster, says Fareed. And also Go the Box, says Heather. Would you say Argentina had the easiest road to the semis? I would say no. Because, you know, that group, we will in fact show it. I'd say that Argentina, if we're talking about who was the luckiest to make it to the semi-finals, it has to be them because they were the side that finished second in their group and they did go through as that fourth qualifier. Everyone else up till that stage were undefeated. So Argentina, the only side in the semi-finals who did not win every single game, but there was never going to be that option for one of the teams. Someone had to be that slight underdog heading into these semis, and it is Los Pumitas who end up in that role. But Wales have been a tough side in this under-20 competition. They actually had a better points differential than the Argentines in the end. Italy, they were challenging, but I feel just in the wrong group. One draw, one loss, and one win. One across the whole board for the Italians. And then England, you'd say they were the unlucky side to miss out, seeing as they were the defending champs. But, like I said, they needed a bonus point from that game up against South Africa, and they weren't able to get it. So that did make all of the difference. We have got there, hi Bruce, says Lilia. And also Baby Black's our favourite to win the tournament, says Farid. They may be favourites in the odds makers, but they certainly, I would say, are not favourites in terms of what we've seen from this competition so far. How can you say that a side that have scored almost 200 points from 3 games don't have the best chance of winning a contest? New Zealand had a close game up against the Italians, 14 points to 5. You know, they've had a couple good games, but South Africa have had a couple very outstanding ones. You look fresh. Will you save your mustache if South Africa win? Not if they win. If they lose, it was debated maybe that we would consider it. I want to see how this match plays out first, though. And what time will the final be in South African time? Will be an 8:30 p.m. South African kickoff. So, yeah, it's going to be intriguing. They are just showing the matches that have taken place so far today. We did see Scotland beat the Irish. England, they had a comfortable win over the Welsh. Maybe a bit more frustration for them missing out. And New Zealand start stressing. Box, see you soon. Says Justin, and we beat them last time. Says Shane. Yeah, well, neither of those two sides made it through to the final in the last under-20s. New Zealand knocked out in the semi-finals. South Africa not even in the semi-finals for last year. But I do think that the Rugby Championship game easily could have gone either way, to be honest. So if you're basing it off current form, you'd have to give South Africa that little bit of an edge because New Zealand, they had one big game up against the French, though, in terms of that game that fully tested them mentally and physically. So that might bode well for them into that final. But they still want to know who they're going to be facing in that next contest, and we will soon find out. Is this the same field the New Zealand-France game was on? Sorry, didn't get to mute in time for that one, but I think so. Oh, no, sorry, it is different field looking at the stand. And I'm not actually sure. Is it bad to say that we covered that whole game and I never paid attention to the background once? We have got the true last time was the best of the year so far. Yeah, I gave it as one of the best under-20s games I've seen ever. Between New Zealand and South Africa, about 40-plus points per team. Bless you, Hamish, you have been going on non-stop, says Ruth. And Preach It, says Glenn M. And there as well. But they are just showing the reserves. Of course, South Africa have got some real talent off their bench too. Same with Argentina. A couple, I guess you could say, dark horses that some maybe don't know heading into this game, but could certainly know by the end of it. For South Africa, though, Schoolman, Reid, and Erasmus, just like the senior side, they will try and assert that dominance across the forward pack. And at scrum time, both teams just about to make their way out of the tunnel. Like I said, these two sides have met before. A couple people in the stands trying to get high fives. Doesn't look like they're getting them, though. These two sides are laser focused. Klakane, ready to go. I mean, there's so many talented youngsters across these teams who will be senior players eventually. They will get that opportunity in either the green or the gold, or the green and gold, or the blue and the white. Hi, Hamish says, Lyle, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Will it go to extra time? I don't think so. I think we're going to have a decisive winner at the end of this 80 minutes. The referees running out onto the field. Of course, the players have an important role to play in this game, but also the referees do too. The crowd. Looks like a few people supporting the Argentines in this contest in the stands, as well as, of course, the green and gold kit in there supporting the home side. Well, not the home side, sorry, but the Rugby Championship hopefuls in South Africa. The players that I feel have the best chance of winning the comp. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I'll even say it in that final too. If South Africa don't blow this opportunity, they will be very hard to beat. We have there who's most likely to make it to the Springboks first. Honestly, I would say Hassim Pede might not be a mile off if he keeps on playing the way that he is for this young team. Klakane might make his way in at some point. Nebelele, I do think at hooker could actually be a future option for South Africa. And you've got the pace of Cheswell Juster, but I just don't know whether or not they'll give him that chance yet. They are singing the South African national anthem, though, getting ready to go for this contest. We have got there, bless you, was said to those who coughed or sneezed during the plague in the medieval days. Ringa Rosie says Lamatasi, and also who's the captain of the Under-20 Boks, says Mohadino. I believe for this game it is Klakane, I want to say. I could be wrong, though. I think they've had a few captains throughout the competition, mainly because, we did see Klakane off the bench in one of those recent contests. And that is not a radio station, but please wish my son in Wellington a happy birthday for his mummy, says Michelle. So happy birthday, of course, to your son. You haven't given me a name, so Michelle's son will have to go by. And if the Junior Boks or if the Junior Boks lose, I think that is their name, is to shave his eyebrows. No, we've got to keep the eyebrows on the face. Like the mustache was debated, but the eyebrows are not going anywhere. And get up, Bok. Give me my preferred finale. Says Shane, and the thing is for this Junior Boks team as well, if they were to lose this match, their game then overlaps with the Springboks in the third place playoff. So, if they want to have South Africa behind them watching this game, cheering on their side, they have to make it to the final, or else then a lot of people will be watching that senior game between South Africa and Georgia instead. God blessings to our Junior Boks, says your yes sir. And there as well, but South Africa's national anthem has been sung. We have now got the Argentine national anthem, one of the longer ones around, so we've probably still got about 5 minutes until the kickoff for this contest, but while they are singing that, we will look through once again at the starting lineups for South Africa in the front row. Ngobesi alongside Nebelele and Lube as the number 3. Nebelele's looked outstanding throughout this competition, and I would argue he is probably, I want to say, in the team of the tournament, he would be the hooker that a lot of people would end up selecting. Riley Norton and JJ Theron as the locking duo with Nyale, Klakane and Malaba as the number 8. Hassim Pede, he's been outstanding from start to finish, whether it was off the bench in the last contest where they did decide to rest him that little bit, or whether it is in the starting lineup alongside Vusi Moyo, who it is fantastic to see is playing in this matchup. He did take that head knock in the last game, but luckily will be all right to play in this matchup. Besta and Erasmus as the midfield. Cheswell Juster out on that right wing. Pace for days. Any breakaway he gets, he's going to be scoring. Jaco Williams out on the left after 2 tries last week. And Minto as the number 15 for the Argentines. Like I mentioned, a lot of guys, they have a huge amount of potential. I do like their forward pack, but I just worry that if South Africa get the dominance early on, it may be just enough to give them that edge for the whole contest. And that loose forward trio, Dundee in the number 6 jersey. Definitely one to keep an eye on. That's the thing. There's a couple turnover machines in this Argentinian team who aren't afraid to put the body on the line and rip that ball off the opposition. But yeah, Benedict in that number 10 jersey. So crucial that they can feed the backs in this matchup, because for Argentina, if they don't get it right, South Africa will punish them. And that is the national anthem sung. I think they did the shortened version of the Argentinian national anthem, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have the scrum weights, please? Not yet, but hopefully they will show it at the start, although sometimes for the under-20s, they don't actually mention those pack weights. And Pete Eccles champion says, Blitz, yeah, he's outstanding in that 9 jersey. Just so much composure for a young player. Where can I watch it? Rugby Pass TV would be your best bet, depending on where you are in the world. Racing team is not easy to break into. Says Fareed, that is true, although the benefit that they do have is the squad is always large at the start of the year. I mean, we saw it, that training squad of about 55 players. So, I mean, we saw a guy from the Varsity Cup get put into that environment. So these under-20 guys might not be a mile away from making it in either. Up the box says Andrew. Focus Boys says Lyle. I think New Zealand would prefer to play Argentina rather than the Junior Boks, perhaps. But I do think that that rivalry, for the sake of being able to say you bet a side that, like I said, I feel is one of the big favourites of this competition. New Zealand may just want that challenge that little bit more. They've had some great games up against Argentina in the past too. But, I mean, New Zealand versus South Africa is about as big as it gets for those two sides when it comes to, you know, stepping up to the highest level. The last time they played, like I said, it was Game of the Year. So maybe we could see it again. But now, going to be ready to go. Like they have said, South Africa coming in as the number 1 ranked side through to these semi-finals. Jeremy Rosier will be in charge of this contest, the French referee. We've, of course, also got that TMO for this contest. We saw it a little bit in that last game between New Zealand and France, but luckily not an absolutely huge amount. But we are now underway, ladies and gentlemen. Kickoff is upon us, and Argentina, they will be kicking off from right to left. The Junior Springboks up against the Pumas. We're ready to go, and a good kick downfield from South Africa to start it off. South Africa is behind you. Junior Boks says, oh, yes, sir. And the baby Boks 58 to the 29. Ball gone up. Trying to slap it back was Argentina. They might have knocked that on. Yes, they did. And it will go back for the first scrum of the contest. So straight away, we will see whether or not there will be South African dominance at scrum time, or perhaps it will be relatively even. Going up for that one, it was Timoteo Silva. And first scrum says low, and yeah, did not take long at all. 30 seconds, or sorry, 40 in fact, we are at the moment. And South Africa 74 to Argentina's 17, says Lamatasi. Also, you're going for a 91-point game in a semi-final. I know that we normally see around that kind of 50, 60, 70 mark for the youngsters, but that would be a big, big scoreline for the Junior Boks. The ball going to be fed in now for the South Africans, who will hold strong at scrum time. And best final, best spectacle, biggest challenge, says Shane, and a pretty fierce scrum from these two sides to start us off. Albi Bester, he's had some great runs from that number 12 jersey throughout the year. Hashim Pede now going to be rolling this back, and a box kick will be coming for South Africa. Does go high with it. Down towards the halfway. In fact, just a little bit further, taken at the back for the Argentines, who will kick back themselves. Now, Fuzimuyo at the back gets it into the 22 of the Pumas, who have all the time in the world to be able to kick this one downfield. And it does go into touch around the halfway line. Any chance of score, final score prediction? I want to say my original instinct for this game was, I would say 38-12 for South Africa. But I could see it being closer. Nebelele now with the first line out throw for the South Africans. Almost stolen there by Argentina, but JJ Ferron had a great grab of the ball. And also very good there, 30 points to 10. See Shane for his prediction. Nebelele hits it up. Now Hashim Pede goes back across. Will be to Nyali. Hashim back into the pocket. And now Mboyo will kick it high. All Blacks in the final. What is your reaction? They did deserve to make it with the way that they played when they were down to 13. Like, France had so many chances to be able to get that try, but it was actually that one big turnover 5 metres short of the try line when New Zealand had less players that I think determined the game. Plus France, unfortunately, just not clinical enough. Too many handling errors. Just Googled scrum weights for this game. No info on that. Yeah, there isn't a lot about the under-20s in terms of the weight, unless you go individual players. Now, long kick downfield from Argentina. Minto inside of the 22 of the South Africans, kicks it out too. And we have got the Craig, we've missed you. Says it was there from Michelle. And also, hi Hamish, thanks for the coverage, says Regine. No worries at all. 36-10 is the prediction from Maria. You see there the Junior Boks bench waiting for their opportunity. Line out thrown now though for Argentina. Now, taking their time. Oh, a little bit of a gap closed there from JJ Theron. A bit strategic. In fact, it was Riley Norton that time, the number 4 for South Africa around the halfway line, and the sun is setting for this contest. Will be played in the dark for the second half, although they have got lights, of course, and they will certainly need them. That is a skew-whiffed box kick there attempted by Humpos, and that is going to now be the line-out for South Africa on the halfway line. Greetings, says Charles. Welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Junior lost Pumas, impressing so far. Defiant, says Lyle. Now Nebelele ready to throw this one in. Oh. Okay, wrong location of the line out, as what we've just had there. But they've worked it out here. And now Nebelele throws it into the back. Argentina competing, not getting to it. Theron takes it. And now the rolling more well set for the Junior Boks. Oh, number 1 told to get out of it. Does very well, Horea. Still moving though. Klabakanye with it on the back. Or in fact, no, sorry. Klakani, I should say. Klabakanye, of course, the Springbok number 3. This looks like this ball might be trapped. Yes, it is. And it will be an Argentinian scrum for defending the rolling ball. 2-try gap, says Lamatasi, a live stream in South Africa. Rugby pass, maybe, but I think it would be on Supersport. Is Cheswell playing? He certainly is. Out on the right wing, although he hasn't touched the ball as of yet. This might be a really tight game. Score could be, says Lamatasi. I'll go, thanks, nice to have you back on Kiwi Lad, says Michelle. And is that good place kicker for South Africa still injured? He is not. He has been cleared to play. So Avusi Moyo, he will be in that number 10 jersey. And that could be the difference maker. Kicking, so important in a final or a semi-final. What's up, Hamish? Pray Monday. It was fantastic for everyone. I'm praying the Boks pull off the win. So here's Warren. Yeah, it will be a massive final. New Zealand versus South Africa. It's happened so many times over the years, and they've always been entertaining fixtures. Ball fed in by the Pumas. Front row's popping up. They're being told to use it. No advantage there at the moment for the Pumita scrum. Oh, massive amount of space down the back, but now Cheswell Justa. It downfield into the 22. I'm so proud of the way you pronounce the African names better than our own people at times. So here's Tasnim. Kick now into touch for Senelosa. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time learning about these South African players. So the pronunciation, every once in a while I will get one wrong, I will admit, but a majority of them we're not too bad with. And I got some cricket for you, Black Cats versus South Africa. Will you possibly cover, or rugby all the way? When is it taking place, Charles? It depends on when the matches are happening a little bit. It's going to be thrown in, nicely taken now. Hasempe, ball on the inside, finds Cheswell Justa, who's hit extremely hard by the Argentinian forward. Now Norden, the captain, in fact, for this game, not Klakani. Back across to the left-hand side. Klakani trying to find his way through. 25 metres out, Hasempe goes to Mlaba. It's just good phase play at the moment from the South Africans. They have not lost a game in this competition, whereas Argentina, they were defeated by France last week. Running forward is Erasmus. Hamish looks good in near green. Says Glenham there. Now Mfusi Moyo going in behind. Offload from Besta to Mlaba. Back to Moyo. Another grubber attempted. All drop ball though from Argentina first, then South Africa. So it will be a South African scrum 10 metres out from Argentina's line. Wednesday, 11 p.m, says Charles. Wednesday, is that like, wait, Wednesday is in like very, very soon Wednesday? Because aren't South Africa playing Zimbabwe at the moment? I'll have to have a quick look. Zealand cricket. When are they playing? Oh no, oh sorry, the Tri-Series. No, my apologies. So it is actually tomorrow at 11 p.m. We could consider it. I haven't done a game of cricket in a long time. I know you're an undercover Boks supporter, says Craig. I do very much like the Springboks, although like I did a review of that South Africa versus Italy game, and people were saying I was extremely biased against the Springboks. So obviously, I must hide it well. If that's the case, the Aussies are not doing well in the West Indies, says Lyle. And Boks versus New Zealand, like all the World Cups. And your assessment, junior teams in the final. Boks New Zealand, who's sporting quality depth into senior ranks. I think that both sides have got future stars, which is always great for, you know, those upcoming seasons for both international teams. Now, ball going to be fed in by Hasempe here. Penalty. In fact, no, sorry, free kick for the South Africans. They take the quick dab. Hasempe, so lethal, so clinical, gets the offload away to Albie Bester, and he will score it between the sticks. And that is the first try of the game. And Bomb Squad says a debt. And also we have got there, we got to get Hamish to South Africa. And also that's what I said. Hamish looks good in near green, says Glenham. Yeah, Hasempe sees the opportunity in the space, and well done to offload too. Had the man on his shoulder, and Albie Bester, and finishes it off well. And yes, says Lamatasi, and yeah, Bokis, says Sakabola. So straight out in front of the post for Vusi Moyo. This is probably the easiest kick he will have of the day. Maybe not even 10 metres out. Springboks versus All Blacks feels like a rivalry, says Charles. And good try, says Sakabola. Who's coach of the Baby Boks, says Farid. I will actually be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure who's in charge of this Junior Boks side. It's a bit of information that I should know. I know all the players out there on the field, but sadly the coach has always slipped under the radar. It's okay, everyone. We can adopt Hamish, says Craig. And also 100% kicking so far, says Bruce. Yeah, the kick has gone over from Vusi Moyo, straight out in front. And now the score is sitting 7-0, although the scoreboard may have given us a half-by little spoiler there. So there's something else coming from the box. Now Klakane, attack and run straight through the gap. Extremely dangerous as the big number 7 ball off to Mlapa, who almost manages to outrun them, but it's Hassim Peed who scores the try 30 seconds later. Then their first, it's between the posts again, South Africa with an onslaught in the early stages. As at the start of the 50-metre run, or the 50 run, that was about a 70-metre one for South Africa there. Ndlaba just having the speed, and then the offload, Hassim Peed, that rhymes. He gets another try in this Junior Boks kick. Come on the box there, Maria and Hamish. I do South Africa, that accent will pull the ladies in. Best sort VIP security boss, says Warren. Someone get Hamish a Springbok jersey. He is a biscuit. He will look good in it, says Tasneem. And it's over already, says Lamatasi. Although I will mention, Ireland were up by this margin up against New Zealand, and then they went on to lose by 50 points. I'm not saying that's going to happen here. New Zealand were up by 14 in their semi-final. France then brought it back 14 points to 12. They have to make sure that the next move from South Africa is either another try or they need to really just shut Argentina out of this game early. And we have there, we're not Ireland, says Maria. And then they did the same to Scotland, says Sue. And now South Africa showing off, says Bruce. But yeah, an absolutely brilliant fire back. Hassim Peed is definitely one of the best scrum halves in the country right now, says Kanye. And yeah, I really hope he gets that chance for the Springboks one day. The thing is, Faf de Klerk is only going to be gone for so long. He's 33 at the moment, I believe, for the Springboks. Great. So from there, they're going to need another guy. Whether or not that's a Jaden Hendrickse, or whether they look at a Hassim Peed or a Ambrose Papier, Zach Berger. Oh, I don't know if they'll go Zach Berger, but they've got a lot of young options. Morne van den Berg still in the environment. Big shot coming in from Ngobesi on defence. Argentina, though, have the ball. But I honestly think Hassim Peed could actually skip, ahead of a couple of those guys. It sucks that we can't watch the game with your commentary. For an under-20 game, better it would be to advance the game. Why should we hide this? That's the thing. A couple years ago, they were showing these games on YouTube, and it was working well. They had huge views on them, and it gave attention to the under-20 game. Oh, looking for the steal in the breakdown, but they will go back for the initial penalty. It's one in favour of Argentina. So 100% kicking average. Watch out, Marty. To be fair, though, to Moyo, 2 straight out in front of the post. If they were further back, he probably still would have slotted them, though. He got one from 58 metres in the earlier stage of the comp. Who do you think winning the Four Nation? Says Odette. Winning the Four Nation as in the Rugby Championship. I assume we're talking seniors in that regard too, aren't we? And South Africa by 35, says Odette. Are you a Springbok, says Di. So I am from New Zealand, but we've done so many commentaries on the channel that I've become, it sounds weird to say, but I've become pretty much completely unbiased. So we've covered a lot of South African rugby right through the URC since its first inaugural season. We do lineup predictions and videos all about the Springboks each and every week. Same with the All Blacks. They're the 2 main sides that we do cover. But alongside that, we cover Super Rugby, the Six Nations we do on the channel. And so I've become very impartial to just enjoying the rugby and praising the guys who are doing well. That one has gone over. 3 points here for Argentina, taking the 3. Are you supporting the Baby Box tonight? I think the better final would be New Zealand, South Africa, and that is nothing against Argentina. I think that they're a world-class team in their under-20s, but for what they've done throughout the first 3 matches, I do think New Zealand, South Africa would be more competitive. I did say Racing team is solid in X-Man suit. The crack says Farid. And also now the Mockies are watching from Cairo, says Anton there. Yeah, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. We will be covering the final on the channel too, ladies and gents. So anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Good chase there from Cheswell Vusta. And it doesn't go into touch off the kick of Argentina. Minto up to the halfway line now has Vusi Moyo. Tries to bump through. The Argentinian defence, Riley Norton, the skipper, tackled low by Argentina. Oh, knock on there in the breakdown from South Africa. And it looks like Jaco Williams a little bit slow getting back up to his feet, looking for the 50-22 in behind. Yeah, Pumas retreating, getting back there. Awkward bouncing ball by Hassan Peed with all the pace in the world, gets back and gets that one into touch. His name is Hamish van der Merwe. He eat bry, says Farid. Some people confuse your professionalism for bias, says Spock. At times, I do think that some people, because that's the thing, depending on when you come into a live stream, sometimes I'll be praising a team and straight away people will go, okay, he supports them. But then if they stay for one more minute, then I'm praising the other team, and that confuses a lot of people. Like I said, that Springboks versus Italy review was a little bit more harsh on South Africa than I'd normally be, and everyone crucified me and said that I was biased against the Boks. Whereas, we've probably supported the Springboks a lot more than most people outside of South Africa. Great honesty, Amish, thanks. Top bloke you are, says Craig. That's what I love about Amish is diplomacy, says Michelle. And it looks like South Africa, off that not straight line out of Argentina, will take the scrum. And the Bok off to a great start. And Amish Andreas from Moscow says, Andreas there, welcome in. And yes, just get rid of the donut on the scoreboard. And also, Amish appreciates good rugby regardless of who's playing, and how your channel hasn't reached 1 million subs is a crime. The community here reflects your efforts. Bro needs a media sponsor. See, I would love to be able to, one day, even if it is just a random competition around the world, be able to cover it on the channel. I feel like that would be pretty awesome. I haven't lined up a competition as of yet, though. Might have to be like a random game taking place in Zimbabwe. Oh, what a bounce at a ball, and that will be the try for Jaco. It didn't look like anything was going to come of it, but then just sitting up steeply off the bounce, they allowed it to bounce too for Argentina, which was a mistake, and out of nowhere, Jaco Williams, pure pace, through again, and that is the third try now of the contest. If you're not a ref, being a bit biased as I can expected, says Shane. For those who didn't watch the last game, me mentioned Hamish had a brilliant podcast with 2 South African fans yesterday, and they are going to be coming on the channel at the end of this match. We're actually going to have a summary of this game as well as the other, so be sure to stay there for that. Vusi Moyo, now we'll be able to kick this one at the post. Like they've said, it looked like a misdirected kick for a start, but it just bounced so quick and so fast, straight up in the air. And then Jaco Williams had the speed of a freight train making his way through. But now 21-3 the score in this game. And Hamish, people will complain about everything. I can't please everyone, just ignore it. I'm a Boks supporter. I appreciate any good rugby. Says Lee there, and thanks for the show. Says I did, no worries at all. Why does the rest of the world hate the Boks? We're such a lovable bunch, says Lyle. I think the thing is, people sometimes mistake passion for, I don't know, they mistake it for being overconfident or something along those lines. But, a lot of Springbok supporters just love their team, and they love to tell people how good their side is, as they should be able to, because the Springboks are phenomenal. But then that rubs people the wrong way, and it seems to be nowadays you can't praise something without someone saying, you shouldn't be praising them. And hey, bro, could you please explain this whole playing for 5th place and all these ranks would not just be the top 2 teams from each group, and why the system is better? Thank you. I'll be honest, I don't think this system is actually better. I think that you're better off either having 4 extra teams and having it that the first team from each group go through, or you're better off having, like you said, the top 2 go through and having a quarter-final. I guess it slightly lightens the workload for these younger players, but 1 extra game I don't think will make a massive difference. But yeah, it's kind of like a golden opportunity for the team who's next. And this game has been shown free to view on Rugby Pass, says Fleshin. And I must give you credit, your commentary is consistent and unbiased, says Regine. Oh, knock on there from Riley Norton. Referee does not decide to give it in that case, and the penalty goes the way of South Africa. Okay, that one might have been one missed at the line out from the ref there. He had to see and Lozzie injured and out of the squad, but Jaco Williams has really stepped up. Yeah, there was a time only last week where people were saying, oh, it's going to be a big hit because of Ndlozi out. But then Jaco Williams since then has scored 3 tries. So I feel like he proved a lot of people wrong and said, look, I am here and I'm going to be strong no matter what. But yeah, like you said, massive shame for Ndlozi to be missing out. That 2-bounce try from the Bok 11 just sums up this game, says Albert. And anyone who says Hamish is biased should go back to the cave they came from, most professional commentary on YouTube. I do appreciate the kind words. But yeah, like I always say it, you guys in the chat as well make these so much fun because, you know, quite a few of you guys, even on the games where you have no, I can't think of the saying, but no loyalty to either team, like people still come in and just come for a chat and can watch the games from that point of view too. And it's also awesome seeing the passion that people have for their teams. And Junior Boks transformed in a short time. Just last time, Argentina was all over us, says Bopello. And is there a water break in this game? I'm not actually 100% sure. Maybe because the sun's down, they won't have the water break. But if they're going to be consistent with the other semi-final, they probably should. But now nicely taken at the back for South Africa. Here comes Cheswell Justa, pure pace. Tries to step through the tackle of Rapeti. I'm just glad to see New Zealand gone through to the final, says Peter. And yeah, it could be an absolutely outstanding one if it is New Zealand versus South Africa. I think Argentina would give them a decent run too, but just not quite finding their best form throughout this competition. Only the Irish have a problem with the Bok, says Brandon. I think there's a few locations from what we've seen, but once again, when you are at the top of the mountain, there's always going to be people who want to be there instead. So that can once again go a little bit into that jealousy category. That, like, you know, it annoys people when South Africa win. But at the end of the day, like, if you watch the games, you just have to respect what they're able to do. Oh, kicking for touch here for Vusi Moyo. After winning the penalty, that will only be about 5 metres out. He is in some great form at the moment. Did you get enough sleep? Nowhere near it. I got like 2 hours sleep. And now I don't know whether or not to stay up all night or stay up all day. It is currently 6:50 a.m. New Zealand time, or whether I should go to sleep instead. We have got there Hamish's ass is full of splinters from where he's consistently sat on the fence, says Fleshin. And when do you think you'll reach 100k subs? Well, we didn't know if we would reach 1,000 subscribers. So I've said it right from the start. Like, if we get there, it is a massive bonus. But if we don't, like, I'm still hugely appreciative of what we've been able to build anyway. You know, even if we randomly stopped gaining subscribers, but you guys still stuck around, like, I would still be more than happy, like, with doing these ones. Offside advantage going against Argentina. This is not good because South Africa are currently 2 metres out from the try line. Now they're on the try line, and the score for JJ Theron. And now South Africa, they just keep on extending that lead. This is a mismatch, ladies and gentlemen. I do think that game up against the English, had they made it, had they got one more bonus point, would have been much more competitive in that regard. And we have got the missed it, so when is the final? The final will be taking place at 8:30 p.m. South African time on Sunday for us here in New Zealand, but that is Saturday night for you guys in South Africa. So about an hour or so after South Africa played Georgia. We have got there a good commentators and biased and commentary, says Esbok, and give you a voice and eyes a break. Although I do still have to film another video probably after this. End up doing that video of my All Blacks side that I'd like to see face up against the French. I told you they're showing off, Hamish, says Bruce. They certainly are. 26-3 at this point in the match. Vusi Moyo lining up another kick, using up as many seconds as he could. The kick has gone over. And it's going to be 28 points to 3. Now, that sounded like a double blow of the whistle, so I think now we're having our drink break. You look perfect for a person who only slept for 2 hours at home. We only watch for you in our house, says Staznim. I think I've just got so used to being asleep. So used to being awake and a lack of sleep. So I've kind of found a way of managing it. When is your birthday? 2nd of December. But my mum's birthday was today, or like yesterday, New Zealand time. Fun fact. And my stream is delayed to Hamish's commentary. If you do pause me for a little bit of time, then you might be able to sync it up a little bit. This is just too easy, says LFG. It's looked a bit too one-sided for my liking in a semi-final. It just seems like there hasn't been a lot of fight from Argentina. That's not to take away from what they've done in this competition, and they have had a couple good moments in this game, but unfortunately South Africa have just been far better. This shows depth, as in the senior ranks, one hard game can be matched in the next. Italy felt that against the Boks, says Warren. We ever learn one of the languages from South Africa? I have considered trying to learn Afrikaans, but it sounds slightly ironic, but I don't have the best memory when it comes to trying to learn a language. I can remember 50,000 rugby players apparently, but when it comes to language, I struggle to keep it in my head. Like, there was a time where I tried to learn some Portuguese and I only got through like 2 sentences. When is George's birthday? 22nd of March is George's birthday. And Johan Ackerman is a future bot coach after Rassi, says Kanya. Happy birthday to your mum. Hope you spoiled your mum. Says Mahadi, she did have a very good birthday. Do you speak Māori? Only 2 sentences. That's also where it's kind of come from. Is I can only get those like, hi, how are you? And that's about it. To the Rugby Championship Under 20 has helped Argentina a lot. Still, they are still a step below South Africa and New Zealand. Yeah, like they were competitive this season in the Rugby Championship comp. I do think that they still have a bit of time to go. And we have got there, you went with vanilla or chocolate birthday cake, says Xander. Out of those two, she probably preferred chocolate, but she didn't have a cake for this year. We have got there also 4 tries already, says Lilia. Yep, big scoring game for one side in this match. Do you speak Afrikaans? Only like 1 or 2 words, unfortunately. You're another one of us March babies, or George's. So is Isaac, 2 of the other Kiwi lads. They are born 1 week apart. Oh, knock on. No, sorry, knock back. My apologies. From Argentina, who have got themselves possession. They have to go aggressive here with the way that they're playing. Missed pass goes into touch. That won't help. And we need to get you speaking some Cymraeg. Says Fleshin. Do people in your city speak Māori? There's like maybe a very small percentage. Like my town that I'm in's got 4,000 to 5,000 people. But there is a marae down the road a little bit further, which we did go to during school. But yeah, you don't hear it spoken on the streets really here. A little bit more in the North Island, I would say. You hear it a bit more than down here. But yeah, there's still the occasional person who can speak it. Do you have any info on the World Schools Rugby Festival? That will happen next week. Is Gray's College the best college in the world for rugby in your opinion, or a New Zealand school? I'll be honest, I actually don't have enough knowledge on the schoolboy rugby to be able to say who is better. I know that they have the competition each year where all the kind of schools come together. And, you know, sometimes the South African side will win it, sometimes the New Zealand team will win it. But I think the best thing about it is they are both extremely strong. And that's great for rugby because, you know, that future generation are the ones who are going to keep this game going. That sounded like a very political answer, didn't it? I didn't mean for it to, but yeah, like both teams or both countries have very good developmental systems, it would seem, which is great because we're going to get to see those future stars similar to these guys in the under-20s game. Hamish going to Europe will be epic, says Charles. One day, hopefully. I feel like I've got to get to South Africa at some point, but that flight is so long and also very expensive to get from New Zealand to South Africa. But if I did go, I want to go for a long time, like a month or so, just to fully get to enjoy it rather than just going for a week. And now, throwing it in, Ngobesi did do the call to Nibelele, and that didn't travel the 5 meters, which does mean going to be the ball for Argentina. The Green Express train has bolted. Who was winning in the under-20 final. I've said it the whole way through this comp. I feel South Africa, definitely after that first game up against the Aussies, to me, it just showed how strong they are, and they're my favourite going into the final. I know that some people have said New Zealand because they beat South Africa last time in the Rugby Championship this year, but you can't say a side that are going to have about 250 points heading into a final aren't considered a favourite when they qualified at the top of their group too. South Africa number 2 is pretty big. He's a bright prospect. Nibelele, they were talking about it in a couple games ago about how he could get himself a Curry Cup contract in the near future. Hamish, if not commentary, you're ready for politics after that response, says Warren. It is my mother's birthday too. She also did not have a cake. She is diabetic. Says Suso, a big, massive happy birthday to your mum. It will cost you around 2,500. Yeah. So it's going to be brutal because also that's just the flight. Accommodation, I would say, depending on where I stay, would be an extra. If it's going to be a month, you're looking at maybe upwards of 5,000. Okay, joining before the line out there against Dundee. You'll enjoy it much more here in Namibia. I moved here in 2008 from South Africa and haven't been back a single day. Says WJC. That's the other option, is perhaps going South Africa and then working my way around, a couple other locations and then perhaps even up to Europe. I don't know what my plan would be, but I certainly don't have the funds for a trip like that at the moment. I'd have to get a big sponsor to be able to do it. All saying there was a knock on the chin there for the Argentinian number 9, Julero. We have there up the box. What's your thoughts on the first Wallabies Lions test from Tim? I think Australia will be undercooked a little bit in terms of heading into it. I wanted to see them play this weekend as well, or like this past one that just went by, because, the Lions are going to have some decent form players. And I do think that's, for Australia, they will get better for the second and third tests because they would have had some more minutes under their belt because they look rusty up against the Fijians. So I can see the Lions getting 1-0 up, but then I'm not sure what will happen after that. Good to know the Baby Blacks will be underdogs, says Riley. Namibia is boring but nice. It depends on what you like, though. Like, some people enjoy, like, a quieter lifestyle. It's like the ones who like to live in a city and need to be in that kind of environment, and some that like the countryside. It just depends on what you're into and what your preference is. I have 80% discount here in the honeymoon suite, Hamish, Wellington, Western Cape. If I'm in the honeymoon suite, surely I've got to try and find myself a lady friend, don't I? In that regard. And your like says, Vivsi, I can see you're not looking for looking like Mr. Beast, but a little, but not quite, says Charles. Oh, I kind of see you looking like Mr. Beast. I did get that a while ago, although I think that comparison's gone away just a little bit. Now thrown in, nicely taken by JJ Teron. Currently 28 points to 3, ladies and gents, so not very close at this current point in time, although it's been a little while since we've seen a South African try, so one might be just around the corner. Nothing boring in Namibia. Drink more than South Africa. Have better meat than South Africa, says WJ. There's going to be an advantage now for a knock-on against the Argentines. Their handlings let them down in the early point. We've seen a knock-on there from Teron, but they will go back now for the scrum. All Blacks are always a favourite of mine. How will attacking players start headbutting defenders? I don't think so. I know that you're not allowed to lead with an elbow. I'd assume you're also not supposed to lead with a nose. Can Argentina creep back? Honestly, I don't see it happening. It sounds harsh, right? But not many sides would come back from this up against a team as clinical as South Africa have been throughout this competition. But we did see Argentina, to their credit, have a good comeback in the second half up against the French, going into the second half down by about 28, down by about 30, but did get the bonus point, which actually booked them the spot in this matchup. Not compulsory, can sleep alone if you want, says Bruce. I'll give the Junior Boks the favourites title. The Baby Blacks going as the underdogs, says Riley. And I think that one will be debated. Like, it was said before that someone said that New Zealand are favourites. And, I can see it both ways, but I don't know how South Africa can't be a favourite when they're doing this. Up against everyone that they've played. Even up against the defending champs, England, they were able to at times assert some really good dominance. Hamish, don't get married until you come Cape Town, mate, says Fareed. Do you think I find a South African lady in Cape Town that would put up with my constant talking? The thing is, though, outside of a live stream, I'm actually kind of quiet, believe it or not. Maybe because I do all the talking during lives, and then afterwards I'm like, right, I have to shut up now. Hamish, you were quite smart. I saw that video on your entertainment channel, says Charles. Yeah, not many people do know about that channel. George has been keeping it running for quite some time. It's much more unfiltered, I would say. Lock your grandmothers away, guys, says Paul. But now 20 metres out from the line. Argentina now with the line out going across to the number 12, Kakani. In fact, no, this time it was Mlabe. Does make the low tackle. Another advantage, this time going in favour of Argentina. Drop ball, going back for the penalty. Cape Town is 3-1 woman to men, says Albert. Any woman chat more than you, says WJ. I wouldn't guarantee it. I say a lot of words throughout a weekend. But that's the thing. As soon as I go off a live stream, I am a lot more quiet, I think, because I've run out of things to say. Because if it's talking rugby, I can go on for an hour.
But if it's talking anything else in life, I don't know what's happening in the world, or I don't know what's happening in my backyard, so I have no clue. Will attacking players start headbutting defenders? I think you asked that one, didn't you? We did see in the last match, France versus New Zealand, the guy who was on attack kind of, I guess, leaned into the challenge to get a yellow. Does talking for prolonged periods and live streams cause a sore throat? Are there any prevention measures you take? Honestly, it can. I've gotten used to talking for long periods. Sometimes it's just more I lose my voice. Rolling more here for Argentina is not really rolling. It's just sitting there 5 meters out from the line, but they are a big enough four-pack. They've got the penalty advantage, and Los Pumas note dragged down just short of the try line penalty. This might be a yellow card. Double blow of the whistle. Referee calling someone over. But yeah, I had to start drinking water on live streams because there was a time a couple years ago I had no voice. Like I got to a point how my voice was just absolutely destroyed. I was doing a commentary every night and I no longer had anything left. Like I don't even know how to describe it, but it wasn't so much I had lost my voice that I couldn't like speak in a way. It was just, it sounded so awful and I could only get every like third word out and it would be croaky and it just sounded rough. So I learned I had to drink water because or else then you got no show. We have got there, come to Namibia and we will talk rugby for 24 hours. Says WJ. Now, trying to get that rolling more going. Wasn't actually a yellow card for South Africa. Last ditch warning for the Junior Boks as they haven't infringed a huge amount throughout this game. Nicely taken. Was contested by South Africa, but it is Santiago Nera and knock on from the Pumitas. A player being headbutted by Visa will get his card in New Zealand, so it's not headbutt, says Farid. I mean, Visa himself has said it was a dumb moment from him. So the fact that the player is saying that he shouldn't have done it tells you that it was probably like foul play. But the thing is, like, whether or not he made huge contact, it still wasn't smart. Because we saw he got caught up in the moment, but he had to try and control the discipline. That looks like JJ Theron might have hurt his leg here. They're just trying to stretch out. I want to say it's that knee. Are you a Red Bull fan? I've actually never had a Red Bull in my life. Believe it or not, with all these random hours that I do stay up commentating, never had a Red Bull before. Water you don't need are those sinking water. You need Wheat Bix and chili that clears the throat. Says Lamatasi, and was it a yellow card now? It actually wasn't. So Argentina, they did have South Africa on their last warning, but then the knock-on from the Argentines leads to South Africa 5 meters out from their line with the scrum. But ready to feed this ball and will be Hassim Peed. Having a fantastic start to the game, assisting the first try, scoring the second. And big mistake, Pumitas. Was it a yellow card? No yellow card as of yet. And Rassi told Jasper needs to start using his head. Well, he certainly did that in the game. But yeah, the unfortunate thing for Vesa is he was going to be the starting 8 for the Rugby Championship. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from because with so many injuries of Honeycomb, Elric Lowe, and also Wano Augustus, all he had to do was not do that. And he would have been starting up against the ABs and probably the Wallabies. Well, maybe the Wallabies. They might have gone with a bit more rotisserie there. But he was the starting 8 for the games up against the All Blacks. But now he'll be lucky if he's even playing rugby at that stage. Kicked into touch by South Africa. Nice kick downfield from Vusi Moyo. And in fact, it's not a headbutt. We saw made games players do that during scuffles with no charges. It was more severe, unfortunately, than just a bit of a head-on-head, though. And it is down to interpretation, but we've seen times where that wasn't given in the old school days, but sadly, with everything under the microscope now, it is going to be probably a 6-week ban, somewhere around there. Maybe longer, because he won't get the good behaviour bond that some players get, because he is a repeat infringer. I think we'll see Sia play 8 for the Boks. It's an option with the amount of times. Like, number 6 would then be up for grabs, but they could look at Marco van Staden, seeing as he's done quite well in the roles that he's had while Khaleesi's been absent. But now rolling forward here for Argentina. Second chance, 20 metres out from the line. This time it will be Hull. Trying to wrestle for that ball. Coletto getting taken out. Still there though for the Pumas. Dundee. They just aren't quite... Oh, knock on. There it is. I was about to say, they just can't quite break through. I feel bad for Honeycomb. He was next in line. The Visa brothers used to fight each other for food. So here's Albert. And Kiwi Lads, who do you reckon from this game could be called up maybe later this year for the Senior Boks or Senior Pumas? I would say maybe not this year, but within the next 3 years, I'd love to see Hassim Pede in the Springbok environment. Nebelele could be that next guy after Mbanambi retires, in terms of a younger guy making his way up through the ranks. Like, there's a few decent hookers in South Africa at the moment, but I do think that if you develop a player like Nebelele, you could go an extremely long way. You've got that pace of Juster in the wing channel, but it's whether or not they're going to go with someone like a Juster this early. Definitely when they've also got their eyes on the other youngster from the Varsity Cup. But Moyo, you know, he could be a bit of a prodigy. So there's actually a lot of guys that could go in. This game makes me nervous as a New Zealand fan. It's certainly been a great showing from South Africa at this point. We are 36 minutes through this contest. Still 28 points to 3. So Argentina have got a little bit better in terms of that defence. But once again, Argentina's their handling. Similar to what we saw for France in that last game. It just hasn't quite worked. Oh, going up for that one. Ugly landing for Riley Norton. Looks like he's going to be down for a little bit of time here. Hopefully the skipper will be all right now going short side. Labi with the pass on the outside. Knocked on this time from Jaco Williams. And the penalty for accidental offside goes against the Junior Boks. World Rugby will make sure Jesper won't play Eden Park. I would also counter-argue that and say that Jesper Visa has made sure Jesper won't play Eden Park because it was just not smart. From a guy who's got so much experience and in a game that had no... Like, if it was close, you'd even say it was silly. But the fact that they were so far ahead and it just didn't need to happen from Vesa, he let Fischetti get under his skin and it's cost him at least 4 games at this point in time. So, like, yes, you can try and blame World Rugby, but Vesa is to blame for what he did. He knew what he was doing. He had a brain fart out there on the field and it's cost him. What do you think of the AB's France second test? New Zealand won that game a lot more comfortably. I don't like the fact that France took out the guys who were in form from that first match, but they have mentioned that test match number 3 is the goal. They're going to try and knock New Zealand down a little bit. Oh, throwing a man across there for the South Africans. Rolling more, though, this time coming for Argentina again. Ball comes off the back and it's knocked on as he tries to ground it. That just sums up the day. Neira not able to put it down. Wins half time, 2 minutes away, but this might be a yellow card here for South Africa. Another penalty just out from the try line. Yellow card. Okay, they might have the wrong number. They were going to give the yellow to, I think that was Ngobesi, and he's going, no, I didn't do it. I hate it when Hamish is right, says Albert. And Jesper has a lot of experience of getting red cards right. It's number, who is it? Sent off the field there for 10 minutes. It will be, in fact, who is it? Was it Herman Lube? Maybe. Hamish, how does the final system work? Because there are many semi-finals. There's 2 semi-finals, but the other teams are also playing off number 1. I know it is Engelbessi, isn't it? He's been taken off the field. So it was actually first Nebelele who was going, no, I didn't lift anything. Got me front rows confused. Now rolling more for Argentina. This has to be a try, and it is. They get over right at the end of the first half. Was it a headbutt? If it was, the Italian player would lose his nose. That's my point. The thing is, though, I get what you're saying. You're saying Jesper Visa could have hit him a lot harder, and I've seen that argument from a lot of South African supporters. But the problem was the intention. Because it's like the whole situation of tipping a player above the horizontal. Even if the player lands relatively safely, you've still intended to drop them either on their neck or their head. So for Visa, yes, it may not have been as hard as it could have been, but he still had the intent behind it. You know, he didn't sit there and accidentally they got nose to nose and a little bit of an accidental little, You know, he was about this far away and went and decided to give him the Glasgow kiss. And more like a love tap? Yeah, like he could have hit him a lot harder, you know, but it's still the fact that he tried it. That's gone over. They'll now make the score 28 points to 10 here. Argentina, they've got a minute before half-time. This could be the start of a little bit of a movement here for the Argentines and momentum. And so Visa, no one needs poor emotional control. Yeah, and I think that'll be what frustrated Rassi as well. The fact that Visa was the frontline number 8 and he just did something like that. Like I said, in a game that it didn't need to happen. You see there, Bessi, he's got his head in his jersey at the moment, hiding after getting that yellow card. It was stupid from Visa. Why even play that game? Deserve a card, says Lyle. Yeah, you just, with the amount of cameras, you're playing such a dangerous game. It's like if anyone tries to get a little cheap elbow on the ground or something. Like, a camera's going to see it. They have far too many options of looking at now, and then also the TMO is thoroughly looking for it. And the punishment wouldn't be so harsh for Visa, but his previous infringements might count against him. Exactly. Like, you might be looking, honestly, for a head, but you're looking at 3 weeks down from 6. If you are a well-behaved player, they'll go, look, he made a bad decision, but he's got a good record. For Visa, he has a history of red, so they are not going to be nice to him. And Argentina, they have got this ball now. When is the final? 8:30 p.m. South African time on Saturday this week. So it is about an hour and a half after the South African game up against Georgia. Okay, your lads in years gone by could have gotten away with foul play, but today, no way. Yeah, there's just too many cameras. And to the Italian player's credit, he didn't just, in that scenario, because the ref was right there, he knew that they were going to check it, but he could have gone down and gone, ow, my nose, it hurts, I've been shot. But he didn't, so that's the only good thing about it. The fact that because he didn't go down in a ball, it means that Visa could argue, I did make contact, but I didn't hit him as hard as as maybe I could have. That's maybe his only counter-argument to it. Good evening, everyone. Says Metalogic, welcome in. Argentina kicking this one towards the sideline. We are currently 41 minutes through this first half. Getting a yellow when you already have a red is harsh. Refer to South Africa versus New Zealand at Twickenham, says Paul. Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of cards nowadays too, so I think that players, as physical as they want to be, they just have to be aware that everything is getting looked at. I mean, we saw in that game between New Zealand and France just before, there was one that, to be honest, looked like it should have only been a penalty, but it was awarded a yellow, and it almost changed that was almost above the horizontal. And the tipping of the Argentine, but put down safely, now passing it across 40 metres out from the line, trying to get back up to his feet and have another crack. Now passing on the short side. It's a little Losa, I believe it is, and Visa headbutt, reminds me of Darcy Swain headbutt, where it was pure retaliation and didn't start the fight. That's the thing. They were talking about, it was started by the Italian player, so it probably would have been a penalty against Italy, because of starting it with the push on Jesper Visa. But then Jesper took it the next level above. And that's where the foul play side, that's a forward pass. But they're going back for another penalty for Argentina. This is a long first half being played in these type of temperatures. Schoolboy trick was epic, says Keegan. I don't know responsibility for my last name's sake. Promise not related, says Henry. And also you have got there, come on ref, halftime already, says Sakabula. Yeah, this is going to be fatiguing both teams. But if Argentina could score now, they could be as close as 11 points down going into the second half. That one's gone dead. Missing touch with the kick. And that is now going to be the end of the first half. 28 points to 10. I think Visa's red card overshadowed Villi's 100th cap. The honest answer, I think, is there were multiple moments in that game that overshadowed it. But also, I think Villi had an all right game. Had a couple times where he made mistakes, but I think there were other players in that game, such as an Edwald van der Merwe, or, there were just Grant Williams. Those type of players stepped up and I think overshadowed it. But then the occasion was still for Villi. And if that was his final match, I feel like it was a nice send-off because they had the thing in the stands for him and everything. Thank the bookies today. So have a drink on me, says Jack Lewis. Greatly appreciated for your generosity, mate. I assume that was from your New Zealand bet, wasn't it? Rasty's face overshadowed everything, says Albert. World Rugby will look at schoolboy trick, says Keegan. And also Bok won that game 35 points to 7, says Paul. Oh, for that Rugby World Cup warm-up game, wasn't it? The one you're talking about. And also, Villy also didn't play so great. I got £400 on Australia, also to return 740. Gee, so you had a big day at the office. And Sam Kane red card was justified, but ruined the World Cup final. Hence why World Rugby has relaxed on red cards. And head-on-head contact, says Crimson and Kiwi Lad. What's good, brother? I hope you're well. And keep up the good work, says Justin. Do appreciate you being here. And of course, we have still got the second half of this contest. And after that, anyone who has seen that Springboks lineup prediction that we did, we have got Vic and Wern of Vic and Wern Sports Chat's YouTube channel coming on as a little bit of a post-match review that we are going to be doing for this matchup. So be sure to stick around afterwards. It could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. Those boys love to chat rugby, and we certainly love to as well. Kiwi Lad says, Justin, and next time Yester takes to the field, he will be targeted with players trying to get under his skin. Yeah, unfortunately, when you show you've got a temper, it's a bit similar to Evan Roos. There was a moment there, it was after a try was scored, wasn't it, that Roos decided to just give a bit of a cheap shot, and he got a yellow card for it. And, like, people know that if you fire up Evan Roos, he will retaliate. So, you know, it's a bit similar to what people do to the Argentines. Thomas Lavanini and Marcos Crema, if you push them, there is a 157% chance they will push you back and possibly do something stupid. Ruiz has his own hot head issues, says Sakabula, and the last kick of the half of the number 15 was bad. Yeah, he needed that one to go into touch. And unfortunately, it did not. It didn't even go close, in fact. He probably missed it by about 10 or 15 metres on the angle. Hamish, your legend mate, loving the commentary, says, hello, kitty girl. Welcome in. I do thank you very much for being here. We have got plenty more coming up throughout the weekend. We are going to be covering Scotland versus Samoa, New Zealand versus France, Australia versus the British and Irish Lions, South Africa versus Georgia. We will cover the final of the under-20s, which is going to be taking place at 8:30 p.m. South African time on Saturday. And then also alongside that, maybe even England versus USA if we've still got some energy after that contest. All refs are lenient towards other players until they meet the box, says Farid. I would disagree, Farid, although I see that you are well and truly sold on your opinion, so I'm not going to try and say that you're wrong, but like I do think it's just because of the physicality of the box, it's very easy for things to be taken out of kind of the situation, you know, because you're going to see some big hits from South Africa throughout a game, and if one of those rides up high because of the power and the physical attributes, it means that there is going to be more contact than perhaps, let's say, an 80 kg player making that same tackle. There was one French player headbutted a player and nothing happened. There was also one French player, though, recently that did a headbutt and got 6 weeks banned. So it depends on the refereeing as well of the game. But I do think that you need consistency, which is something that they're trying to work towards. They still don't have it, but it's just something that they're going to have to try and find. In an Argentina Thrashers box team in the Rugby Championship under-20s, says Cameron K. I believe South Africa won that contest, although it was a lot closer. In that regard, one moment, we'll go like this, and we will get you that exact score, actually, between the two sides. So for the Rugby Championship under-20s comp, South Africa won 36 points to 25. I bet one Luke will return to 8 until Honeycomb returns to cover for Visa's 6-game ban. Says Albert, I think that the golden door is open for Jean-Luc Dupré and also Evan Roos, because now they have multiple games in a row to prove why they should be that number 8 ahead of Jasper Wiese. Evan knows how to stay just on the right side of the laws. Says Paul, exactly, like Evan Roos, Evan Etzebeth, he has a temper, but he's learned how to control it. You know, that pushing and shoving with Alan Alatoa a couple of years ago, perfect example. You know, he opens his eyes, he goes wide-eyed more than anyone I've seen in the rugby world and like back and forth, but he doesn't do anything stupid in that scenario. There might be a bit of a push or a jersey grab, but there's nothing on the face, nothing to the head
That's the difference. You can't target anything. It's like when you see a guy accidentally eye poke someone because they've got their hands all up in their face. When you take that risk of going towards a player's head, that's where you pretty much, you are susceptible to the worst case scenario. Okay, so we assume New Zealand, or it's New Zealand versus South Africa for the final. What scoreline do you think it will be? Honestly, the way that South Africa have played all throughout the competition, I find it hard to believe New Zealand would beat them. And that is coming from like a neutral standpoint, but New Zealand also do have that victory over them this year. So, that might be something that kind of boosts them up that little bit more. But honestly, South Africa are the team to beat. Kalen Pong at fullback for the All Blacks in 2027, drop Will Jordan to the wing. Says Riley, although Will Jordan's worked so hard to get back into that 15 jersey, so I think it would be a shame just to kick him straight back out of it. He's going to score tries no matter what, though. Like, Will Jordan has been extremely clinical across the board, but yeah, it'll be intriguing. Even Ruz is a walking penalty. The sad reality, though, is that's now what people will say about Jesper Wiese. Or no, they won't say he's a walking penalty. They'll say he's a walking red card because he's had so many of them throughout his career, unfortunately. My daughter hijacked my account. Now I'm Hello Kitty Girl. It's a unique name. At least she matched the profile picture, though. It's the commitment to the craft, but it's nice to know that you're not just changing it straight back. Probably because she'll just change it back to it anyway. Rassi could not use full game plan, and the game older players should find gameplay in game new ones. Showing Flames incoming future. It said, I see why I only use Edward van der Merwe now. Exactly. Like Edward van der Merwe, I mentioned about it. He might be one of the unluckiest Springboks over the next 1 or 2 years because they've got Colby and Arendse who will be starting the big matches. But the good news for someone like an Edward van der Merwe is he's in Rassi's team, and Rassi loves rotation. So that's one of the biggest bonuses that he's got. The fact that even if he's not going to play a huge amount of games, he'll probably get 4 or 5 this year, even though maybe he should have more. Rassi is getting old, but luckily he's not the one who has to run around on the field. But his coaching is certainly, it's definitely got better with age. Defenders beat him 13 for South Africa throughout that first half compared to the 2 of Argentina. The discipline of the Blitz box, a little bit of a concern. The Junior Boks, 8 penalties compared to the 3 of Argentina. Really? The Junior Boks under 20 years old? Says Julio. Really? The Junior Boks under 20 years old? Come on. I'm confused. Which one is that for? Did someone say about a young player or something? We have good there. Wish we could get a hold of our league talent. I kind of think Kotoa would be the best 10 in rugby and only 21. Says Riley. Rassi looks better now than he did it a year ago. Lost a lot of weight. Says Sakabula. Well, he had a little bit of a... Didn't he have a bit of a health scare 1 or 2 years ago? Something happened with his health, so now it looks like he's really turning it around, which is absolutely awesome for him. And Evan grabs the jersey, then hits, while he's holding the jersey, a thug, but a clever thug, says Paul. Exactly right. He can argue, look, my hand slipped when I was on the jersey. Whereas Jesper Wiese he can't really go, I slipped about 30 centimetres forward and gave him a bit of a collision. Jano Augustus is Bok 8. He has flair, but Rassi will go for experience. But Jano Augustus is injured at the moment, which is a massive shame because, everyone wants to see what that man can do in a Springbok environment. We have got there, heard South Africa Rugby is going to extend Rassi's contract beyond 2027, but also heard that 2 other offers are on the table from outside South Africa, says Lilia B. I can understand why people would try and get him in. Like, he's in hot demand. I guess he was sick and the medication caused the weight gain, says Sakabula. The Boks will win in the final against the ABs, just like in the Rugby World Cup in France, 11-12. And Bucky Esbota was never red carded for Springboks in his 85 test. Imagine how many cards he would have, though, if they did have the same laws and the same cameras watching the game as they do now. Like, I feel like he would have absolutely hated the amount of decisions that go against him. Bucky is retired when they got more cameras, says Paul. And Baby Blacks will beat the Boks, says Farid. And much more of this, says Julio. And also, I think Rassi battled cancer but kept it secret, says Albert. But it is great that he is healthy now as well because
Like, whether you like him or hate him, he's a bit similar to an Eddie Jones. He's a personality. And sometimes you need that in the rugby world because it's a little bit similar to what we see for the players. So many now have been so media trained that they're almost like robots when you interview them or you hear them talking. It just sounds like it's read off a script that they've been told to say 50 times. Joe Marler was an exception to that rule, and we are now seeing a little bit more of someone like a Henry Pollock with that personality coming out. But, you know, coaches do need to be able to, you know, enjoy coaching because it's a stressful job. You've got a whole nation that either love you or hate you. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for becoming the channel member. I did get the WhatsApp stuff sorted, which I am very happy about. Because, yeah, I didn't really know how to do it. I'll be honest, I'm a WhatsApp complete noob. I don't like using the word noob. It makes me sound like I'm like trying to be cool. Was Jasper worse bad? Was his intent was there. He didn't collide with him as hard as he could have, but he still went for it. Unfortunately, how good was New Zealand under 20? They played extremely well throughout that second half when they had one man down and then two men down. Yeah, they had to certainly try hard for that one. And under 20 is powerhouse. You put against Namibia senior team. They will still win, or Wales, says Keegan. And also, yeah, Bucky's got away with a lot more cameras today. He'll be in red card jail all the time, says Craig. I wonder if Rassie will trust Jasper. That's the tricky part. Like, he said in the post-press conference that they will stand with Jasper Vesa. But at the same time, I think at that point, Rassie hadn't seen the replay. He didn't actually see the headbutt at the time from the coaching box with the way he was looking at it. But, you know, in a big game, in a close one, can they trust that he won't do it again? I'm really not sold on Love at 10. It can be pretty erratic, says Riley. Can you South African under 20s win versus New Zealand under 20s? I think that they've got a brilliant chance of going on to win that one. But yeah, second half will only be a few moments away, ladies and gentlemen. And he gets to see, once again, some very talented rugby between the sides. South Africa did come out with a hiss and a roar, although they've been a little bit quieter in that last 20 minutes of the half. I don't know whether or not I would say that that is down to any sort of fatigue or whether it was just Argentina took a bit longer to warm up. They actually did the same thing, though, in their game up against the French in the last matchup. I don't want Visa doing a Sam Cane in a semi or a final. Says Sakabula, player of the first half, please. I think Hassim Pede once again looked great. Vusi Moyo kicking 100% as always. We saw quite a bit of the locking duo in that first half. JJ Theron, I think, needs a little bit of credit for what he's been able to do. Laba had some very good runs as well. And then, I think you could say pretty much the whole of the South African team has looked at least relatively solid throughout this one. For the Argentines, I don't think we've seen it get out the back line enough, and that is due to those handling errors. We've seen some decent work from Neira in the number 7 jersey, but I think he's had one or two handling errors across there too. They play with passion, and tempers are bound to flare sometimes. Exactly right, and it's how you control that temper can really, I guess, control where your career goes. Geordie should have kicked that kick over, or should have knocked that kick over. Couldn't ice the big moment, says Riley. The Puma team just got the word they're good now, says Lamatasi. I tell you, for my main player of South Africa is Amir, is 20 years old. Or for my mini player of South Africa. Oh, I get you. You're saying that they aren't under the age of 20, so I assume you're saying they shouldn't be in the team, although it is based off a certain date. I think it's if you're under 20 at the start of the year, you are still eligible for this competition. South Africa are not the only team with 20-year-olds in there. In fact, a lot of the teams do have 20-year-olds in their sides too. And I don't even know if there's a single team that has all under 20-year-olds. Halftime is over, says Keegan. It certainly is. Vusi Moyo ready to kick off the second half of the contest. Where is Sam Whitelock? He is retired. He did actually help coach the Barbarians in their game up against South Africa. Arasi will have it hard to bench Marnie under Tony Brown, says Farid. A very good commentary and interactions, Hamish, says William. The halftime, I'll be honest, it absolutely flew by. We just pretty much talked about the senior box. And there with a few also stats about the juniors, who will take this throw quickly on the halfway line. Running forward now, Vusi Moyo, one of the bigger 10s around in this under-20 environment. Do their story, makes his way onto the field for Augustin Garcia Campos. Still another 4.5 minutes remaining of the South African sin bin. When will the final with the under-20s be? It will be on Saturday, 8:30 p.m. South African time. That will be 6:30 a.m. for us here in New Zealand. We are going to be covering it on the channel as well, so of course be sure to stick around. We have got Wayne Smith back in the AB's camp. Our attack always looks much more fluid under the professor. And now trying to shift this one out wide. Erasmus. Good defense from Argentina. The ball was out. Picked up by South Africa once more. And that's the big difference. South Africa have dropped the ball backwards when they have dropped it. Argentina have knocked it on about 10 times. Be honest, do you think I should watch the Baby Blacks game, even knowing the score? I'd say you'd enjoy it up until the last 20 minutes, Kiwi Rob. I would say there were some good moments, but I'll try not to spoil too much for you. The mustache, though, 70s grown up entertainment at its finest. It's been said quite a few times, that comparison, although not the 70s, normally the 80s is the one we've had. What else have I got? I've been asked about the other village people for the YMCA blokes. Nice defense there from Argentina, winning the penalty 20 metres out from their line. There's been a couple other. I've been called Mario. Yeah, we've had a few. Did you like the schoolboy trick? Which one are we talking? We're talking about the line-out lift, I assume, in the middle of the field. I think that if it isn't going to be banned, because World Rugby will look at it, of course, as they always do when something new happens. If it doesn't get banned, it will, I honestly think, become one of the most effective moves for an attacking side in rugby. Because up until they land, you can have a really well-set maul, and to try and stop a defensive side from jumping in because they don't want to compete, it could be, I think, something that if it is cleared as allowed, sides might do it more than the pick and go. Because every single time you've got that chance of winning an advantage. So I think it will just become overpowered. It draws in so many defenders. It does. And we saw it twice in that game up against the Italians, and neither time Italy were able to stop it. Now, yes, Italy didn't play their best rugby there, but it definitely favours the attacking team when you get it well set. A little bit similar to how you see a rolling maul. And now the Los Pumas, loose ball. Argentina may be able to jump on it. Yes, they do, but he knocks it on again. Oh, so many schoolboy errors for a side that, to not be able to score from there, it's just got to be frustrating. South Africa have been the far better team in this match, but they just, every time, look, he just chases it. All you got to do is pick up the ball, but this is, I don't want to say it, but it's pathetic from Argentina in terms of how many times they've dropped that ball and times where they should have held it. As World Rugby come and said anything about the lift in the middle of the field, they haven't. Nigel Owens, who normally a lot of people do listen to, has said that he thinks that they'll have to do something about it because it can manipulate the laws a little bit and there's no way to defend it when it first takes place. But yeah, it's going to be intriguing. Either way, Boks lucky, second knock on the try line. Yeah, it's just happening far too often. And you got to feel for the Pumas because they're not doing it on purpose, but this is the type of game that you need to be clinical. Reply shows Argentina knocked on 2 phases earlier. Says Albert, wouldn't surprise me, as we've seen it plenty of times from Los Pumas in this game. That one's going to go down 5 metres from their line. South Africa have got the scrum. There is just 1 minute remaining of the Ngobesi yellow card. Hashim Peter, I think we're going to expect to see a little bit more from him in the second half. Whether the school rugby see that move? The coach had to see it elsewhere. I don't know if he did see it elsewhere. I think because it was a lower, more amateur game, that it was something that obviously the coach had seen in the laws and gone, hey, we'll try this. And, it's something that, like I said, if they do use it, it's going to be dangerous. And we could see sides honestly doing it every 5 phases. Because if you're going to win a penalty advantage and you're going to get that front foot ball, why wouldn't you? rather than, it will definitely mean that less forwards get injured, though, I think, because you'll have less pick and goes penalty. I didn't Paul Jim do that move. And also just entering the room, not entertaining it, sorry. Score looks like it's been a good first half from the South Africans. They've gone a bit more quiet now. We haven't seen any sort of big try from South Africa just in the last maybe 25 minutes, but it's coming. I think we're going to see it in the near future. We do see now that they are back to 15 men as well for South Africa. Paul Roos, school head coach, is brilliant enough to come up with that play all on his own, says Albert. But now, Argentina also making the change. They have taken off Coleto, and coming on is Regiardo. Now will be the line out. Looks like a change is about to be made as well. We'll see that Ngobesi comes back on. I just googled Vusi Moyo, hit the microphone instead. I must have thought I said P instead of a V. I should have seen that, what came up, says Bruce. You might want to clear that search history, Bruce. Might get you in trouble with the missus. Now I'm back into the pocket. Vusi Moyo. Kicking it down food once more. Junior downfield. I think I said down food, didn't I? See what's on my mind. And how are you, Hamish and all? Hope you had a good Monday, says Carlin. Doing very well. I'm excited for this final. It's not guaranteed yet, but it looks like a rematch of South Africa versus New Zealand. Junior Pumas aren't that bad. They aren't at New Zealand level, but they get in your face and they make it difficult. That's the thing. Take away their handling errors. They've actually been quite competitive in this game. The scrums haven't been too far away from 50-50. They've had some good work in the breakdown. Rugby needs to update to have a running maul from a pass. Is going to break the game, says Xander. Oh, rush defence there from South Africa. I think that was, Jaco Williams has hurt himself there. It's either his shoulder or a head knock. She needs to be laughing, says Bruce. And food down food, says Lamatasi. Now back across to the right, keeping the ball alive. Another drop ball from Argentina. Cleaned up by Jaco Williams. So obviously he wasn't as injured as first anticipated. Looking at the short side was Hassim P. Goes back infield to the captain, Norton. Rest will use under 20 or more young talent in the game. It's like Minecraft's under 20 senior team. Rassi playing mind games with World Rugby, says Kagan. Kicked him behind, chasing after this is Cheswell Justa to the short side. Misses the tackle. That doesn't happen too often for the pacey winger. Now Lescano, the man who wasn't able to claim that ball initially. Back into the pocket, pressure on Cheswell Justa. Makes the tackle this time. Falling the wrong way was the 15. And Pumitas ruled the last end of the first half. Yeah, and had that kick not missed touch, could have been a completely different story in terms of heading into the halftime sheds, but just getting it wrong in that case. A kick downfield from Argentina, and South Africa will have the scrum. This is so close, or this is too close to for my liking, says Justin. Yeah, I'll be honest, South Africa, with the way that they started, it looked like it was going to be a little bit closer. Anyone Spanish? Why is it Los Pumitas, not Las Pumitas? I think it is the loss for that, isn't it? Oh, we got 5 gifted memberships from Vic. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. Of course, we are going to be joined by Vic and Vern of the Vic and Vern Sports Chat. Just coming up at the end of this match, we'll be able to digest what's happened in this contest. But yeah, greatly appreciated for your generosity, Vic. Hope your stream is going well. I know that you guys are live at the moment too. And Shane Puma's handling horrible, says Roof. Yeah, it's just hurt them so badly in this one. But once again, a turnover in the breakdown. Nice Vic, says Lilia. And put into touch now by the Argentines. They will be 30 metres out from South Africa's line. And one more try here gets them right back in this contest. They are not down and out. But they could be. And first, traffic lights. What is next? Mind games. He is in everyone's head. Says Keegan. Yeah, if any coach is going to do something unique, it is Rassi Erasmus. By the way, Hamish, the membership link in the pinned comment is excellent. For some reason, the mobile version doesn't have the join button. So you can do it through the link, says Sebastian. See, I've always been confused by the join. Because on your phone, I think you actually, to get it, you have to go onto the channel's main page, don't you? Which can get a little bit confusing. But yeah, We have also got the Kiwi Lads Instagram. Be sure to follow that. It is the second link in the pinned comment. We are, of course, going to one day post something on there once I decide, but we reply to all the messages on there that we have been getting, whether that's rugby related or elsewhere. So, yeah, be sure to flick a message on there, anyone who is keen for a bit of a chat. Do they speak Spanish or Portuguese in Argentina? I think it's Spanish, without offending a whole nation. Next score P, next yellow card is White Fella says Blitz, and Hamish, final score. What do you think of this game? I think I went 38 points to 12, so that can't happen. But I honestly think that I might have gone a bit low for both of these sides. Baby Boks saving fuel for the final, says Fareed, which is all well and good, but they still have to make sure they win this game. If they give the Pumas too much of a chance here, you know, it could backfire. I do think that they're firmly in control. Oh, here we go. 5 changes being made by the South African bench. So it's going to be Schoeman, Ollie Reid, Jean Erasmus, Jaco Grobela, Matt Ramal, and then also, that was all, because that's 5. But like they have said, South African as it gets the bombs, or the baby bomb. Is baby bomb squad a good name for them? I don't know whether or not that one rolls off the tongue as well as the main bomb squad. And bomb squad, well, the baby version says Craig in Spanish, but I think a hint, or I think it is different. Oh, rolling maul for Argentina, 1 metre short of the try line. Los Pumitas, can they get over? Already, we are seeing the likes of Matt Ramal having to make a tackle. Blitz box. Says Keegan there. You know, offside from South Africa once again. They did only recently return to having 15 on the field. Got to be careful not to go off. Please, you guys, says Victor. And there as well. But yeah, thoroughly looking forward to the post-match where we look through at these 2 games. Talk about that final as well, just around the corner. They speak Spanish, but they pronounce the double L as sh, which is quite weird. Says Sebastian, now backline movement, popping it up now, sitting not too far out from the line, skip past one more in the corner, scores it for Argentina to Timoteo Silva, I should say, sorry. Then that did get it, but they're checking something. No, hang on, double blow the whistle. This might be a yellow card to South Africa again now. And the Dynamite squad says WJ. We have to ask ChatGPT if, and it informed me Jesper Visa is innocent and suggested to start the free Jesper movement. Gotta love ChatGPT, don't you? And good try for the RG, says Albert. But now making the score 15 points to 28. I'm just going to have a quick wee look, ladies and gents, because I have a little feeling that when these 2 sides played last time, did Argentina start a comeback in the second half, or were they already in it? Halftime, oh no, Argentina were leading at halftime. So this is actually the opposite, that they're starting to build a little bit more momentum. If the noun ends in a female, then it is a plural of the land, less, says Paul. And Italy is holding the Aussies. Italy can play very good under-20s rugby. We saw that up against New Zealand in the first match, but lining up this strike, bringing it round. The kick goes over. Fantastic work from Rafael Benedict. And now the score, 28 points to 17. It's getting closer, ladies and gentlemen. South Africa, they haven't quite finished out some of their games to the best extent, but we are still early enough that there should be something coming soon. And wake up, Bocky, says Sakabola. They're conceding 28 points in the first half. Trying to get back into it. They have scored the last 2 tries. It is a knock-on, though, from Argentina. So those are still sneaking in. Baby Boks need to wake up. This is how you lose big games, by slacking and give away unnecessary penalties. And cards are 80 minutes, or games are 80 minutes, not 40. But now South Africa on attack yet again. The time it is Ollie Reid. Hasim Peed. Across to the right-hand side. A little bit of a scuffle off the ball for Matt Ramal. Now penalty going against Argentina for a no-arms tackle. Vusem Moyo passes across to Erasmus. Can't quite get through. Bok got a yellow card. Now they don't at the moment. They did have one earlier on for a collapsing of the maul, I believe it was, or lifting a leg in the maul. The Bocky says Derek still under penalty advantage. Yeah, not the best pass to Ramal, who knocks it on. They will go back for the penalty. Right, the big question now is you're ahead by 11 if you're South Africa. Do you go, oh, yep. Okay, they are going to take on the 3 points here. By the looks of that, there is the point at the post from Norton. Important kick here for Vusi Moyo. He's sitting 100% in terms of the accuracy. And getting nervous now, says Lilia B. And do we remember what happened in the Under-20 champs? Got run over twice by the Kiwis in the Oz. I need to wake up. Yeah, they did struggle to finish games in that competition. They have got a lot better in this matchup. Their finish up against the English was phenomenal in terms of their defence. Ref trying to even up the game, I see. Says Unahati. I think the big difference is South Africa have now been giving up a little bit of possession in the second half. So that's probably the biggest game changer and why South Africa have been penalised a bit more. It's because Argentina have stopped dropping the ball as often. And good call, says Lamatasi. And Baby Boks can do it. And now, I thought he was going to miss there for a second, but of course he gets it over Vusi Moyo. And now giving the South Africans the 14-point lead, 31 points to 17. Italy winning momentum, says Keegan. And Baby Boks stop breastfeeding and play 80 minutes, says Hazel. I feel like a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, nervous, says Bruce. And Smart to a converted try lead. And last 14 points to the RG, says Blitz, although they've broken that trend now, which is also, I think, another reason why they did take on the 3, just to break it up a little bit. We all are expecting a bigger lead at this stage. Oh, it's going to be dropped by, I think it was Ramel, but it did go backwards. Crowd are not happy about it. And the Argentinian fans in the stands also not happy. Here comes the pace of Mento. Tries to put the pass on the inside, does find a prop rather than the 9. Taken down there, Ollie Reid, Hasim Pede, tries the cross kick, and it will roll out. A big territory gain there for the Junior Boks. Who is the best Kiwi batter, and why is it Williamson? So have you answered your own question there, Lyle? And if I must Argentina go boys, says Ruth. Tell you what, one game that I do want to go to outside of rugby is I want to go watch the West Indies versus New Zealand. I see that it's in Christchurch, which is only a few hours away from myself, so I might have to try and make that trip, as that would be quite an entertaining game. Back and forth, hopefully. Thank you, Moyle. Says Michelle there. Now throwing it in. Argentina just getting at the 5. Referee allows it. He's a big boy. Who's that? Oh, injury for, I think that is Nebelele, who has stayed down. I want to say that was Galhan who ran forward, but the penalty does go the way of South Africa. And once again, I think you take the 3 here, don't you? Yep, Riley Norton points at the points at the post. But this could be a bit of a concern. Nibelele taking a tough shot on the ground. Vusi Moyo. They have got time off at the moment to go for the post bockies. Right, we're going to see the replay. Where is this injury? And Williamson has got a better batting average. He's in the top 5 in the world. And speaking of which, did you see what the mental finish to the England versus India test match was? Test cricket delivering at its best. I'll be honest, I actually haven't seen it. I think it's available in New Zealand, so I'm hoping to watch it at some point. So I have no idea who actually won that test or anything along those lines. But yeah, by the sounds of it, the run rates have been insane for that test match. It's baseball at its finest, but India have been well and truly up for it. Looks like a change is about to be made. I believe that will be Stefanos Linde. But now lining it up. And in fact, no, sorry, Yandre Skulman is the guy who might be making his way on. It amazes me how quickly under-20s can bounce back from injuries. Well, that's the thing. As you get older, the injuries seem to take that little bit longer, don't they? Whereas these guys, you know, they are built tough. They just try and get straight back up. And must France and New Zealand still play each other? New Zealand beat France in the semi-final just before. So they have played. Lucia Moyo, another 3. That starts to take this game away from Argentina. That little bit more. 34 points to the 17. This ref, he a ref or a Springbok player? Says Bronvin. He is French. We have got there nice Moyo, says Suckerball. And Aussie kicking now, says Keegan. We're now going high. Geronimo Otano on. Low chopping tackle coming from Argentina. And also, I won't spoil it. You have to see for yourself, especially at finish. It was hectic. Says Sakabula and going to get some grub after this game. Been fasting for 27 hours so far. Says Bruce, is the choice yogurt? Because I know that you normally love a yogurt after a fast. Is there a 3 and 4 playoff? There is. So the loser of this game will face France. At this point in time, it looks like it could be Argentina. But that game actually overlaps with South Africa versus Georgia. So Hamish, how much sleep are you getting before you go to work? Thankful for your commitment, I must say. Probably like a couple hours if I'm lucky, I'd say. But yeah, I'm actually not very tired at the moment, so that's nice. We'll keep it that way, hopefully. We'll watch the highlights. Says Sakabula, Aussie scoreline, 36 litres of the yogurt loading. Says Lilia B. Now looking for the rolling maul here for the Argentines. Moving not too badly. Otano with it at the back, trying to come through the middle, was Jaco Hrobala. Right, ball's there again. Argentina 35 metres out. If they want any chance of winning, I think they have to score before the 65th minute. Getting in the breakdown, though, for South Africa, almost managing the steal. Oh, it's a rough pass, showing exactly why that replacement hooker is not a halfback. Now breaking the line, attack and run, passes it off to Bester. That should just about be the game. Alfie Bester scores his second try of the contest. And now it's clutch kick and fever. And also, Bruce, that is crazy. I can't fast for 2 hours. I will die. And try. There's Albert. About 60 minutes through. And also, we have got there, yes, says Sakabula. Just straight away, the counter-attack, something we haven't actually seen that much of from South Africa in this match. Not through a lack of trying, just through not really getting many chances. Anytime Argentina has knocked it on, they normally retain the ball. And we go back for the scrum instead. Alfie at 12. Having a good game. He looks like a standout. He almost reminds me a bit of Damien Dialendi in the way that he runs the ball. Of course, that's an easy comparison, isn't it? Seeing as Dialendi's normally the starting 12. We can breathe against Sakabula. Yeah, I think that this is now enough of a gap. Definitely a Vusi Moyo if he can kick this one over yet again. I've been trying to cure Fleshen's hearsay towards cricket, but his defiance is strong, says Sebastian. I feel like that would be similar to trying to cure Grant's, I guess, hearsay of mangoes. Have you worked him down at all in that? He still hates them, last I checked. And let's go, the boys, says Minecraft. And also try to avoid all plant-based foods, says Bruce there. And Aussie winning the line out, says Keegan, and go the box, says Hendrik. Yeah, I'd say with that try being scored, it does look like a New Zealand-South Africa final. Mango and fish. I'm a little bit with them on the fish one, I'll be honest. Sometimes fish, that looks like a player's taking a leak just with the angle there. They are having that drinks break, or the cooling break as they call it. But I like fish when it's battered, but I wouldn't eat fish much by itself. I'm not a big fan of the canned tuna or like salmon. I want to like because it's good for you, but I just can't. I eat it and I'm like, this is kind of like a weird ham. One more try from us and the game is over, says Unathi. And the senior Argentina team was really disappointing against England and at home. There's more chance of Grant eating a mango, says Fletcher, and 2 lamb legs and a bowl of pasta. Says Lamatasi there and go the box, says Gladys. Is it the texture? I don't know if it's so much the texture of salmon, but I don't know why. I just can't get into it. For some reason. I think it's I just don't like the taste of fish. Unless the fish doesn't taste like fish. Tin fish isn't the greatest, that is true, but the rest is lovely. How hot is it there? At the game, they're sitting around 30 degrees Celsius, even though it's in the evening. That was 35 in the earlier contest. Hi, says John, welcome in. Love salmon, I might marry it. Don't tell your husband that, Nov Mum. Although, maybe he loves the salmon too. Now, kicking high. 4th quarter of this contest, as they are being called for these games with cooling breaks. And come on, our Bocky, says Ina. And all that. Just finished an egg semi, says Lamatasi. Now moving forward again. Back into the pocket, Hassim Peed. And now kicked into touch by Minto. He hasn't really had the busy game, you could say, Minto. He's done everything right when he's touched the ball. But other than that, he's done his runs and then he hasn't really had to work defensively that hard, which I think is once again down to the credit of what South Africa have done up front. And I sound like Kiwi, says Hendrik. I am from New Zealand. It is currently 8 a.m. here. I did start the first live stream at 3:50 a.m. bedtime for me. Thank you, Hamish. You are really sweet. Oh, sorry, really swell. Can't wait for more. You are amazing, and get some rest. You deserve it. Happy birthday to your mum. We see you in South Africa. My older brother watching you from New Zealand. Says Tasneem. And yeah, we will be live next weekend this weekend, for the South Africa versus New Zealand Under-20s final, as well as South Africa versus Georgia. Will be on the channel too. And Australia's scoreline 37. Says Keegan there, but now trying to bust through. There's Argentina firing the pass out to the left-hand side. And tin salmon with vinegar and cucumber sandwiches are a strange pleasure for me, says Fleshin. And go to the box, 3 more tries, says Gladys. So he wants to see that half century come up and some. Another change being made for Argentina will be Faria making his way on for Alvaro Garcia Lindo. That was a butchering of that name, that is for sure. The best tasting fish in the world is smoked snook from South Africa on a braai with garlic butter. I do love me some garlic butter. Garlic butter can make a lot of things taste good. And garlic in general, I never used to like garlic, but I've grown on it a little bit. Same with onions. The idea of an onion on a sausage and bread used to kind of freak me out. But now I'm like, nah, it's a good choice. As long as the onions are given a little bit of browning on the barbie. And we haven't got the try, there you go, and there you go. You can marry a salmon, our grandmothers are safe, says Paul. Like fish paste, but smooth, says Sakabola. Looks like this shoulder injury will keep Timoteo Silva out of the rest of this game. There's no such thing as too much garlic, says Some Ugly. And also some cold, or very cold here. And Cape Town, says Hazel. And Snook, that's the fish Grant hates. How do we feel about pickled onion flavoured crisps? I don't mind. There's cheese and onions a common one here, and that's not bad, but pickled onions a bit interesting, I'd have to say. And add a little brown sugar, a little sugar to tin tuna, makes it bearable, says Michelle. Did the wedding garlic bread win you over? Oh, that was awful. That garlic bread was the worst garlic dish I had ever tasted. Because it was, I could go into it for 5 minutes, but we won't. There is a scrum. But yeah, it just wasn't good. You should try rooster brood with cheese or mince. That sounds tasty. You need to visit South Africa and enjoy a good South African braai. Yeah, I think if I go to South Africa, I am going to have to try and find like 10 braais on different nights and just see if I can join them. Now Hashim paid another penalty, this time to Argentina against the scrum feed. Looked like they wanted to take it quickly, but deciding against it now. Are we surprised by the England red card today? Have you seen reds before in an under-20s? They are a little bit more common than you'd think, but I haven't actually seen that one for the English as of yet. Like England actually had one in their first game up against Scotland too, didn't they? And whole Western Cape freezing at the moment, says Sakabula. And not too much tuna, says Bruce. I recently wrote a South African fish cookbook with my mum. If you want to check it out, says Calvin. Could be the way to go. Because that's the thing, like, if it makes the fish not taste like fish, I don't mind it. I think that the texture of fish is quite nice. Definitely when it's, like, flaky. But it's just the taste of the fish myself that I can't quite get through. First thing you should braai is bordeaux, then work your way to other dishes. They did have bordeaux at the supermarket here for 1 week. And sadly, they don't have them anymore. So I don't know whether or not enough people got them. What channel is the rugby? Sky Sport 1 for us here in New Zealand. Now 5 metres out from the line and another penalty advantage going the way of Argentina. South Africa have already had a yellow card. But now again, working the pick and go. Otano, 1 metre out. Another penalty advantage here. Getting themselves in a little bit of trouble at the moment. The Springboks juniors. How many minutes left? Still another 15 and a half minutes left. And Junior AB's versus South Africa prediction for the final. I think New Zealand would have to play extremely well to beat the South African side because defensively, they are really earning their money. Oh, head on head there. That was bad. And they might actually check this one, but I believe it would have been South African 6, Nyali, I think, who took the collision. He is back up to his feet now, I believe. But yeah, they might check that. I think it was an accidental one. But it could be a penalty against Argentina. I called it, says Unathi. And jelly eels is where I draw the line. Absolutely revolting. Says Sebastian, close to the line this time again for the Pumas. Pick and go. They somehow are still not over. Now using the back line this time. Skip pass. Slip over though. One-on-one defense from Mento is solid and they have stopped the Pumas from scoring again. Hamish is at club side or schools where players are selected in New Zealand. Normally club sides. Or unless you're talking the under-20s, then sometimes it can be schoolboy players as well who haven't earned that Super Rugby opportunity as of yet. And now cross kick for Argentina under penalty advantage. Well defended from Jaco Williams. This is going to be another yellow card though to the South African team. Hamish picking South Africa to beat New Zealand in the final. Shameful. Says Sports Unfiltered. Like I said earlier on, I feel like there is nothing against the logic saying that a side who have got over 200 points from their 4 games are going to be a favourite heading into a match. And also at this point, you know, their defence, I think, is what's winning them the games too. Oi, Kiwi Lad, Boks to beat Kiwis by 15 on Eden Park, says Dion there. Yeah, will be intriguing to see what the squads will look like. We talked about it. Jesper Verson more than likely now missing that game. I thought he was going to be the starting 8, so now either Ruiz or Jean-Luc Dupré could find himself in there. 10 minutes in the bin for Ollie Reid. So both South African loose-head props have been sent off in this match. And who's Boks playing under 20 Saturday? They are playing New Zealand in that final. Like they just said, they were very close to the try line. Looks like some blood coming out of the head of one of the Argentine players. So a little bit of a stoppage here. I'm getting a bit scrappy, says Juan Pierre Bosch. But yeah, there was a head-on-head collision in the breakdown. And pick one, Rassie or Hansen, says Dion. I see we're going for all the controversial ones. If you're talking about innovation, like, it's hard not to go with Rassie, but, like, you can't take away from what Steve Hansen did because he was one of those guys who took a great New Zealand team and made them greater. And I think he was just world-class throughout his time. He annoyed the media a lot, similar to Rassie, because they'd try and get Hansen to talk some trash, or they'd try and get him to, you know, bite into what they were trying to write as their narrative, and he'd just give them the most stock standard, like, almost boring answers, and he just really annoyed everyone. Hansen was world-class, says Dion. And we have got there Dion Dr. Rassie. Says for Reid in New Zealand, like 10 in the final. AB's to win both versus the Boks in September 2, mark my words. Says Sports Unfiltered. Why do all South African innovations make the game worse? Says Sports Unfiltered. I don't know if they all make it worse. I think it's just for so long the game has been the same. So when someone tries something a bit different, it's a little bit similar to when they put a Popeyes in New Zealand. Everyone went, nah, we still want KFC. But, like, it's a weird comparison, but it makes sense to Kiwis. But, you know, I think that there's room for adjustments, you know, and there's room for little, I guess, manipulation of the law. And, you know, Popeyes comparison, not great, man. Well, everyone's hating on Popeyes at the moment. They came over and everyone's going nuts, stay in America. And it's like, well, KFC's also in America. So I don't know why people are so scared of it. Like, if they don't like it, they can just go somewhere else. Will the review for with Vic and Vern be in the video or on the live? It will be on this live stream. So we will be continuing after this game for a little bit more time. This game is nearly over. Pumas shocking ball control. Bok done okay. Says Ruth. And we have got there with a successful build of the Under 20 Springboks planning 4 World Cups in a row. With the successful build. I think it's a great situation to be in at the moment with the skill that they've got. We have Popeyes in Hamilton, but Texas Chicken and KFC is closer than me. I've never heard of Texas Chicken. I'd assume it's from Texas. I don't know how many franchises there are in New Zealand. That one kicked in touch by Argentina again, who have got another penalty here. And Dean Whitelock says for Reed. And Popeyes is yum. I would prefer Wendy's to all the burger joints. Oh, that's controversial because I know a lot of New Zealanders don't really like Wendy's. Popeyes is elite. Playing for scrum penalties and faking injuries is not, says Sports Unfiltered. And when's the final? It is going to be taking place this Saturday, 8:30 for South Africa, 8:30 p.m. So only around, what would that be, like 4 or 5 days away. Popeyes is nice, better than KFC around my place, says Flishin. And yeah, it also comes down to preference in terms of what you like and also your location. Like you said, Hungry Lions, it's much better than KFC, says WJ. I will mention all this food talk has actually got me very hungry. I'll definitely have to get some food after this. I really have faith in Argentina. They were going to beat England. I don't know what happened. They are serious if they wanted to be, says Sam K. Yeah, I think it was a bit underwhelming, that series for the Pumas. Definitely with the way that it ended with that last-minute try. But now, that is going to be the turnover at the scrum, at the line-out maul. South Africa have now got themselves possession. Are the Boks big favourites, or is it close? New Zealand look dangerous today with ball in hand, says Jack. And Chicken Lickin', also good hot wings, says Ruth. And name one South African rugby innovation that made rugby better. The thing is, though, like, sometimes they have been done earlier. So I don't know whether or not South Africa can completely claim some of them. But, I mean, the 6-2 split, for one, is one that you'd say, in terms of if you want to play a physical game with forwards, it's the perfect split to have. And who will South Africa play in the final? New Zealand. So that game's going to be taking place on Saturday, 8:30 p.m. South African time. Ref is a total disaster. Argue tackling without arms all game long. Taking out players in the air skew lineouts, says Chris. Are Boks big favourites, or is it close? New Zealand look dangerous today with ball in hand. Some people are saying New Zealand will come in as favourites due to beating South Africa in the Rugby Championship Under-20s comp. But for me, I think that South Africa, from start to finish in this competition, have looked in control. So I would think that would be like enough to put them as a favourite. And Lions versus Aussies prediction, mine is 1-1 and 1 draw. That's going to be now the free kick going the way of Argentina. It was an accident, taking out the 9. So the best innovation is a 6-2 split. That made the game better. I mean, they've had a lot of innovation, but I think no matter what one I chose, you were going to say it's bad anyway. But the 6-2 split, if you're a physical team, absolutely. Having one extra guy to come off the bench is something that, we've seen a lot of sides incorporate. New Zealand tried it. That didn't work. They actually lost by almost a record margin. But, France have used it. England, we see the British and Irish Lions kind of thinking about using it at times as well. That's offside. Or is it? Oh, no, the ball was out, so they will be playing on now. Centre playing at the side of the scrum, ask Italy, says Glennon, but that is another mistake coming there from Argentina. 10 minutes left. Game firmly in control. And thank you for so much for the commentary today. And great to be able to listen into the action. Well done, Hamish, says Craig. And we are going to be back, like I mentioned, for this weekend's games of international rugby. We're probably going to have about 15 hours on the channel throughout the weekend. And hello, Mashallah, great steak, Gatsby. From Cape Town, will take any title for taste buds. If you haven't tried it or heard about it, you are living under a rock. I've heard about it. I've seen pictures of it because we looked it up on a live stream probably a couple years ago. Haven't tried it yet though, but one day hopefully we can get it done. They're changing the World Rugby rules to minimise the Southern Hemisphere dominance when it's coming to World Rugby, but these new rules are working against the Northern Hemisphere nations, says Sam K, who had the cap lock on. Well, one thoughts on every player in the UK getting called up to the Lions. How many is too many? They're calling up guys to keep that squad around, I think it's 38. So I would say that there's no number that can turn out to be too many when it's injury-based, why the guys are coming into the team. But, that's the thing. South Africa, for their 2 games up against Italy and Georgia, they had a squad of about 40-something. Whereas the British and Irish Lions, for 10 matches up against Australia in the warm-up games, they had a squad of 38. So I actually think, in a way, they didn't pick enough players You should taste it. I promise you it's heavenly, says Martin. And please another Bok try, says Heather. Can't wait for the Wallabies versus Lions test. See Sebastian in there too, but we have just got another stoppage. The final is just after the Bok beat Georgia. Here's Paul, and yeah, we are going to be covering both of those games on the channel. Bit more strapping on the ankle of the Argentine 20. Pumper Story, I believe he is. So another 5 minutes remaining of that Ollie Reed yellow card. Hamish tends to escape rapidly once the matches are over. Says Lilia B. Although not this one, because we are going to be doing that post-match with Vic and Vern, who are currently doing the commentary as well. So they will be popping over for a little bit of a post-match chat about these two teams. We'll go like that. And there we go. We've got there. It's not every player up here. They're not calling up Welsh. What's your thoughts on depth? I don't think there is anything impressive playing 40 guys versus the likes of Italy and European team. ABs could do that easily. CS Sports Unfiltered. I think that it's one of those ones that giving guys opportunity in a international kit is, like, I don't see how it can't be beneficial. Like you said, New Zealand could do it, but they don't. Last year we saw Scott Robertson make very little changes across the whole of 2024, and now, you know, we are now getting to see that depth because he's gone into this year with a new mindset, which he has said he was too negative or too conservative last year. So giving guys opportunities to prove themselves at international level, I don't understand how that can be a bad thing. You know, yes, it's a lot of guys and some will miss out in the future, but at least they've been there and had that chance. It's a school day for me, says the What's Up Guys podcast. Well, it's almost school time then. It's 8:15 here in New Zealand. Looks like an HIA is just about to take place for South Africa. Thanks so much, Hamish. Try and get some sleep. Although, of course, we will be doing that post-match review, like I mentioned, in the relatively near future. I better send that link over so they can join straight in to talk about these two games. We are just waiting for that scrum reset. There we go. We'll go like that, and we'll go like that as well. And also, Alano helmets in rugby. And did you get any sleep any day now? I managed about 2 or 3 hours before this, which is impressive, I would say. Argentina have got themselves 5 metres out for the line with the scrum feed. They're out of this game, but one more try makes the scoreboard look a little bit more competitive. My nerves are going to be shattered on Saturday, says Heather. Now the scrum advantage going to Argentina again. Massive shot there from RCMP. Looked a little high with the tackle a couple metres out from the line. Argentina get in. And it is Ledesma who does cross the try line. The Boks have so much versatility. Can this be seen as a conundrum for selection, says Lilia B? But 8 minutes in, or 8 minutes to go, I should say. Still another 4 minutes remaining of the Ollie Reed yellow card. But that is now twice that when South Africa have had 14 men on the field, we have seen their opposition score. This is why you should only react to All Blacks at Hurricanes games. Says the What's Up Guys podcast. And Rassi wants 6-year contract. Will South Africa and rugby oblige? The thing is, I think they might, because if they don't, someone else will. You know, so Rassi, like, yeah, I think that he wants that next World Cup too, and he obviously feels like he can win this one, Tony. Know the feeling, my family there too. A young one speak like Hamish, says Michelle. Like young ones, as in like all the cool slang and whatnot. There's not much of that here. There's a rugby game in Europe, or there is a rugby game in Europe where you can fight while your team tries to score. I thought rugby was hard, says Lamatasi. And South Africa are the number one team in the world, says the What's Up Guys podcast. We're now kicking it downfield. And it does go into touch. Decent distance. Sitting 41 points to 24. And have you ran bare feet through to Thorns playing rugby? Full contact, ask the blokes from the box. It hurts before you get tackled. Says Martin, American football, very stop and start. Weird if you are used to rugby, says Sakabula. Yeah, like, I'll be honest, if I watch any of the NFL, I'd watch it like in the replay and skip the in-between because I don't know enough about the tactics. Like when you know how all the tactical side of things work and all the plays. Like, you probably absolutely love that kind of more in-depth kind of stuff. But for me, because I don't know anything, I just prefer seeing them running. We don't have England on the menu this calendar year, says Sam K. And Hamish has been groovy and entertaining. Disappointment for French and the Pumas, but South Africa and New Zealand, congrats to the final. Enjoy some tasty food and the rest. Says Ruth there, but now we are going to have another scrum. We've had quite a few of those throughout this matchup. Another Argentinian player down. The ref is just saying you either need to continue or you need to get off. Yeah, they're trying to keep it moving. Is the Argentinian number 8, Galvane. And also not a fan of American football, never got into it. Yes, I don't really know anything about it, just watch for the hits, says Sakabula. Now 5 minutes left. 1 minute remaining of the Ollie Reid yellow. They might just leave him off though. Although, no, actually, sorry, they will put him back on. Seeing as they have currently got Ngubesi out there who did also get the yellow at the start of this game. And agreed, looks weird, but I like the idea of a defensive team and an offensive team, says Lyle. And 5 minutes left before we face the Baby Blacks. Says Unathi there and Baby Boks are now tied. The Argentina, just like Italy, is getting in their groove, says Sua now. They've got possession round the halfway line. Miranda with the inside ball. In fact, no, never got the pass away. It was lined up too early by, would have been Melgas. To the breakdown, trying to get the steal, unable to. Argentina still attacking from the halfway line. There are a lot of sore bodies out there, and the fact that both of these sides do have to still play in around 5 days' time. And I love your team prediction chat with those naughty brothers. But I think we will field the strongest side. I love your commentary. Looking forward to Saturday, says Jan. Well, fun fact, those two naughty brothers, as you've called them, they are coming on the channel in less than 10 minutes' time for a post-match review of these two under-20s games. So if you did enjoy watching them, be sure to stick around for that a little bit longer. Good footwork there from the ref to be able to avoid kicking that ball when it was near his feet. South Africa trying to turn rugby to American football, says Sports Unfiltered. I mean, we have seen many sides use different tactics throughout the years. And, you know, the biggest thing will be teams trying to find a way to counter it. Because that's the easiest way to stop it, is to just shut it down. Try and find a way of beating that tactic. You know, it's similar to what we see when you know about a side that are good on a counter-attack. You know, you don't kick deep to them, because or else then they just score tries for fun. That's a little bit similar to this Junior Boks team when they get that speed going with the likes of a Chiswell Euster. Is this game more physically draining than the France versus New Zealand game? I would almost say, I'll say yes, because we've seen a lot more players looking fatigued and we've seen a lot more players looking a little bit more hurt from this matchup. New Zealand versus France was still a really hard-hitting affair, but I do think that the pace of this game's been that little bit more. And we have got there, I'm so nervous. But then at the same time, we've got to remember that game between New Zealand and France was played while the sun was still out, so probably an extra 5 to 10 degrees hotter for those ones too. But now going short side, that's for Argentina to be able to score one last-ditch try with Otano. I was watching the draft picks. Holy cow, people that big. I should not be that fast, says Lyle. And another penalty this time goes the way of Pumas. No clear release from, tell you what, that was Ollie Reid, the man who's just made his way back on. Has to be careful not to get the card. We do have England on the list. They're just probably at the bottom. Maybe he's working on countering it now. First step, match power game in the forwards. Then it becomes a tempo and skill game, which benefits New Zealand. Watch how the game changes in the next few years. And yeah, the game for now is always evolving. And, you know, we're going to see probably different tactics in the World Cup than we have seen up till this point. There'll be some sides who are brewing something that they're keeping a little bit under wraps. Who is your player of the tournament? I'd have to give it to Hasim Pete at the moment for what he's been able to do, just because he's been so strong from that number 9 jersey the whole way in the competition, whether he makes his way off the bench or whether he is starting in the game. Argentina played well, just their handling really let them down. See, Sakabula, yeah, those many handling errors in the first half, I think, have been the big difference maker. We've seen far too many drop balls. And, that one's going to be now another scrum for South Africa. Turnover, rolling maul, getting shut down by the physical forwards of the Junior Boks. And sweet dreams, Hamish and everyone. Hamish, still going strong, says Ruth. And yeah, we are going to be doing that post-match review, like I said, in only a couple minutes' time. Vic and Vern are going to be popping in to give their thoughts on these two games. And I guess it's a little bit of a fitting review in a way, because this match in the final, it is going to be South Africa taking on, Hashim Pete just getting taken off the field in the final 90 seconds of the game. Man who did score a try last week, replacing him in Everson. But yeah, we will have one New Zealander and 2 South Africans in terms of the final review before the final gets underway. I'm quickly just getting that scoreboard sorted out. We will go like this and like that into the final minute of the matchup. South Africa back into the pocket. Now looking to use this backline. They are not done scoring as of yet. Attack and run from Erasmus. Gets it off now to Everson. I don't think that man will be too happy with just getting 90 seconds, but this is a counter-attack and a half from South Africa. Moving up now to 22 metres out from the line. Back across to the left. Miss pass in behind. And they still have a little bit more gas in the tank, it would seem. The physicality of the game is next level, says Diane. Ball loose. Goes back to the halfway line. The question is, if the full-time whistle sounds, would South Africa kick it out? Houston, he goes through. No one's going to catch him. As soon as he breaks the line, he always scores the tries, and that will be a finishing last-minute entertainment type of try from Chiswell Houston. And it is surprising that he hasn't scored up till this point, to be honest, because he has got that pure pace. And well done, boys. Says Jan Lewin there. And number 20, South Africa hits Argentina player in the back of the head. Had it been New Zealand, the video ref would have called it back to penalise New Zealand. Says Mr. Kiwi for life, and South Africa need to keep that same energy for next Saturday. Says, moving good on you, Hamish. Promise you will be neutral in the final, not Aussie commentating. Says it was there from Blitz. And also we have got there, do you have Tash? Man, I missed a month and now I have a Tash. Yeah, it was the forfeit for South Africa not winning by more points in their first match up against the Italians. I backed them to win by 40, and that didn't happen. The ref just blatantly gives opportunities after opportunity to Argentina, says Alexander. The other way to look at that, though, is perhaps South Africa were a little bit ill-disciplined in the breakdown. Fatigue kicking in as well. That can always make a side a little bit less clinical. But, first half, South Africa actually had 8 penalties against them already. So if they don't sort that discipline out, that could be a deciding factor in the final. There were times where they were just towing the line a bit too much in this game for a lot of people's likings. And be safe, Roof, and enjoy. God bless Kiwi lads and their fans. Says Lamatasi. And also, well done, the Bockies, says Albert. And come on, that try scorer looks older than me. And that's saying something, says Flesham. And thank you, Hamish. Cheers, Lily, and everyone. Says Sakabola. And there as well. And Everson should start against New Zealand and Hussein Pede to finish the game, my opinion. They might look at that switch as a little bit of a curveball. Of course, New Zealand would have seen a lot of Pede in that number 9 jersey. So, perhaps just to throw a little bit of a switch out there, they could make the switch. We have got there, you're the man, Hamish, favourite commentator when you get in a job at Sky. I probably won't, I don't think. They like the ex-players. And the only rugby I played was in the under 9, so I don't know if they'll be bringing me in anytime soon. South Africa versus New Zealand on the final. Kings of the World, says Sam K. And cheers, Sakabula, says Paul. And also, South Africa's score is double Argentina's. I was close with 58 points to 29. Yeah, you did predict the double score. And maybe, I think that South Africa, they'll be happy with this performance because Argentina probably gave a bit more in this game than first anticipated. We've got to remember, there was a time when South Africa were about 28-0 up, or 28-3 up, I believe it was, in this game. Argentina coming back in the second half, a little bit similar to what we saw in their game up against the French, but it wasn't enough, and a nice show of respect here as South Africa clapped the Argentines off the field. They will be playing off the 3rd next week up against the French. So certainly one to keep an eye on. In that regard, we have got the ref was horrendously biased against the Boks. Need a formal complaint. He must never officiate another international again. That was horrendous by the official, says Chris. And we have got, well done, Junior Boks, says Yoyesa. And nice gesture, says Sakabola there. Riley Norton, the captain, being interviewed now. Good night, stay safe and warm. See you soon, says Lilia B. You've just said, Norton that is, he said that he's lucky with the group that they've got around them. You know, they will be confident heading into next week with how they have been playing throughout this competition. But what we will be doing now, ladies and gentlemen, is we'll be doing a quick little post-match review of this game as well as the first one. We know the final. It's going to be New Zealand, and they will be taking on none other than the South Africans, a rematch of the final game in the Rugby Championship competition. But I've got two guests that are just about to pop in. Vic and Vern should join now. They are just in the lobby, I guess you could say it, of the studio. So what we will do is we will click this button, and with a little bit of magic, hopefully, we'll be able to get Vic and Vern onto the screen. G'day, Jets. How did you find that game?
Nerve-wracking. Man. It started off so well.
Well, South Africa, they just flew out of the gates, didn't they? They had those quick-fire tries. Argentina's hands thoroughly letting them down.
Yeah.
Do you think that defence from South Africa, once again, is something to really keep an eye on? When they were 5 metres out from the line, yes, there were a few infringements, but just like that game up against the English, they just don't want to give up in those defensive scenarios.
Look. I'm still trying to get my breath because there was a phase of the game that I thought, oh my God, but the defense is strong. This defense is strong. Look, yes, we had to take a few yellow cards into account for that. I thought the ref was going to give a penalty try at one stage. But our defense is good, man. Look, the boys showed heart. That's all you want from these young men. They showed pride and they showed heart, and that's what you want.
Same as the New Zealand kids. They were great. Man.
Yeah, your guys. You know what? I'm going to say something controversial. The French are the better team.
I would almost agree with you in terms of that middle patch of the game. They seemed to have control, but just didn't quite get the points to be able to back it up. And then those 2 yellow cards, that looked like that was going to be the end for New Zealand. Like, I have no idea how they survived that onslaught. It was that one rolling maul that they held up about 5 metres out from the line. But if France scored there, I think the game was over.
No, and what I've got to say about the New Zealanders, and I've got to shout out to your coach. I think his name is Chris Boyd.
You probably know more than me. I actually don't know many of the coaches. I just know the players.
His name is Chris Boyd. I think the game plan from New Zealand was perfect. New Zealand was so disciplined, actually.
Yeah.
In the way that they played. They took all their opportunities when they had them. The French should have scored 4 or 5 tries. They had all the opportunities. They couldn't get over the line. And even the player after the game, I can't remember the French player's name, was saying, you know, those 50-50 balls that they were giving out. French were taking too many risks. The New Zealanders played a perfect game. 100% discipline on their game plan. I got to give it
impressive.
And that kind of frightens me now for the final. Because I do think we have more flair and talent, but I think if you guys keep that kind of discipline, because we kind of South Africans, we're very famous for losing discipline. You know, we all kind of Bucky's Buertas in the background, and I worry for the final. I worry for the final. I do think I still hope we win, obviously, but I worry because I think New Zealand, your coach, he came up with a perfect game plan.
That was stunning.
I thought it was stunning.
Yeah, because I also thought the French were better playing-wise, but the New Zealand just...
They didn't make any mistakes.
They didn't make any mistakes.
They did
clinical.
When they needed to kick the ball, they kicked the ball. When they needed to hold on to it, they held on to it.
They took the penalties in when they came round to make it
very disciplined. Points. Yeah.
Fantastic. Enjoyed it.
And I do think that we're going to get more of the same of what that Under-20 Rugby Championship game was between the two sides. It just seems to be the counter-attack is where it could be extremely dangerous. And I do think that, honestly, from this competition, any loose ball, South Africa have just pounced on it. And Cheswell Euster, his pace, I think that Jaco Williams has also really stepped up on that other wing in the injury of Nlozi. But I think that the key is definitely going to be those kicks. Moyo, he just doesn't seem to want to miss New Zealand. You know, they've got Rico Simpson, who had a pretty decent day off the kicking tee, which is exactly what he needed because I know his confidence has been down a little bit, but yeah, that 9-10 combo for both of the teams, that's where this game's really going to be won or lost. But it's going to be
good as well.
Peter's been really good.
He's been, for me, player of the tournament at the moment, Hassan Pete.
Yeah. I mean, I officially today adopted Cheswell Euster. He's my adopted son. I'm adopting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I decided I have to adopt this man. I mean, I've got like a crush on this guy. I love this guy, the way he plays. I'm going to be watching his career now because I think he's going to be a superstar in the making.
Not just we've been so impressed with the under 20. Of course, we watched the South African games. All the boys, some impressive ones.
I mean, we got to meet some of them when we were in Italy for the first game against the Wallabies.
Such nice guys.
And we're talking to them, and I mean, you know, we know a lot of under 20 footballers. You know, when they get to in that playing for their country or they're playing for Chelsea, Manchester United, for whatever, they kind of, you know, they go off the rocket. You know, we're the greatest and everything. And these guys are so down to earth. But I guess that's just rugby players on a whole in the world. They you know, they don't feel themselves as much as footballers.
Yeah.
Well, we saw even Riley Norton in his post-match interview. He was very humble in the way he approached it. He said, "We've got a great team," and a nice gesture from South Africa as well. How they clapped off Argentina, and you know they've still got a big challenge next week. They have to take on the French. And how many injuries did Argentina pick up? Like the little ones in this game. I think that this game was one of the more fatiguing contests that either of these sides have played throughout this competition.
We said that we thought it was maybe the most brutal game that we've seen. We've watched a lot of the under 20 games. That this was the brutal one. But I mean, look, we given number 7. I can't remember his name anymore for the Springboks. We're calling him the new beast.
Yeah,
he's huge, isn't he?
He's massive.
Like he could be anywhere in that loose forward trio, Klakani, and he would still. I think he'd fit into a bot kit in maybe 2-3 years if they keep on developing him.
And the good thing is, for me, he plays for the Sharks.
So you'll be a happy man.
Yeah, I'm a happy man. No, we saw him live. I mean, he's about 190.
He's not that tall.
He's not the tallest guy, but he is as wide as a IKEA bloody cupboard. He's massive, man.
He's massive. Yeah. I was impressed.
But were you happy with New Zealand today?
I thought that the heart that they showed when they were down 2 men, because I'll be honest, it was probably the same as you guys as well. When they had that yellow card, I thought, this is not enough of a lead. And then, you know, you see how much attack France had throughout almost, you'd argue, the last kind of 60 minutes of that game. And those forward passes were just brutal for them, and the knock-ons at the wrong time. Bit similar to Argentina in the first half. That makes such a big difference, because if you can't get those ones right, it's like when Argentina in that second half as well, you know, that ball that went through and all he needed to do was pick it up and put it down.
And he fumbled it.
Those moments can win your games. And that's where I think the two, like New Zealand's group stage was a bit up and down. They had that tough game with Italy, but they seem to be peaking now at just the right time in terms of tactically. And
that worries me.
It's a good lineup. It's going to be a great game. And it's only like 4 or 5 days away. How are these guys going to recover in time?
And not just that. I mean, for me, look, a lot of people were backing the French on our stream. A lot of people backing the French. I was one of the few. I
thought the French were going.
I was one of the few people that said I believe in New Zealand, because I was holding both thumbs because I wanted the dream final. For me, the dream final was New Zealand against South Africa. For me, that should be the final of every Rugby World Cup, because I think that's
it's the pinnacle.
It's a pinnacle, and I think both teams will be up for it. I can't see one team walking away with it on the weekend. I think you could have we could have a drop goal moment, even.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be that close. I don't think it's going to be. I think if one win, maybe maximum 6 to 7 points difference, but I don't think it'll be more than that. I think it'll be a very tight game, and I think it's going to be a cracking game, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, super excited.
Well, it's just going to be hopefully the showcase of what the two teams can do, like we got in that Rugby Championship. How, you know, there was never a dull moment throughout that game. There was one try one end, then a try the other.
Exactly.
And
that's going to be epic.
And I mean, I am so torn right now on doing live stream on Saturday and actually just getting into the car and driving the 4 hours and getting a ticket for the final. Because, well, no, it's a little bit further than 4 hours. It's a little bit further down, because I actually felt bad for the boys in the first semi-final and in the second semi-final. But the crowds were not good today. There were not a lot of, obviously there were, they should have had the Italian game at the same stadium. Then you would have had a lot more spectators. because the Italians played in a different stadium tonight. So their stadium was packed, obviously, with Italians. They should have basically had the one semi-final at 3:30 in the afternoon, the second semi-final at 6 o'clock in the evening, and then the Italians play the 8:30 game. Would have had a better atmosphere, because I think these boys deserve a full crowd.
I think a few people might make that trip. If you're somewhere relatively nearby, there'll be a few more now going to support either South Africa or New Zealand, because I'm not sure what other game has taken place at that same stadium beforehand. I don't know if they've got that third place game there too.
Vern will look quickly. He'll check out.
There is still 6 games, isn't there, that's all taken place. Like, a lot of these sides probably feel like they just, now want a break. The professional guys, like they said, they get the 7 weeks off and a bit more rotation. But these guys are just week in, week out, taking the big hits. And it's in the heat as well, isn't it? About 35 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, and it's warm there at the moment.
One.
I mean,
the games,
we know it. We were there.
The games are not out yet.
No, they're not out where they are, huh?
No, where they are, they are all in Novargo, but not who's.
Oh, they're all in the same stadium?
No, just 3 games like usual.
So it's the fifth place team is
the fifth place game.
That'll be England. That's England
against. Could be Australia.
I think it's.
I think Australia. I think won their game.
Yeah,
so it's England, Australia at 6. Then the final is at 8:30, and the
7th place.
I think that's Italy. In any case,
that could be.
So it could be interesting. It could be interesting. But I just hope it's a good crowd, because I think the rugby that these young men have shown in the last 14, 21 days has been phenomenal.
Well, I just think that they've shown that there's so much depth. Like, because I know that that's a word that everyone loves throwing around, but sometimes, it may be used too much. But, I mean, even in the comments, we got the future Bok is looking strong from Bruder. And you just can't deny it from looking at this lineup, whether it's Nebaleli in that number 2 jersey. They've talked about maybe he's going to end up in a Curry Cup team at some point. Norton and Theron in that locking duo seem to be much wiser than their years in terms of knowing how to control a game. Norton as the captain as well. Like you mentioned, Klakane, you've got Hassim Ped, Fusi Moyo. That's a 19 combo. Maybe in 5 years' time could be the starting Springboks duo.
Yeah, and Moya's such a big guy.
He's for a fly half. He's very physical. He's
big.
So I like that. Yeah, look, but both countries, New Zealand as well. When New Zealand and South Africa, you can look, how do you say, relaxed to the future, because I think there's a lot of good young talent coming through. We don't have to, you don't have to panic,
Well, that's the thing. There will be that transition, won't there? Probably after this next World Cup, where we see the older guys disappearing and these younger guys, like someone like a Stanley Solomon. I'm very curious to see where he goes, because he's in the Hurricanes under 20. But one thing that gets criticised mostly is probably the size of him. He is, compared to someone like a Fusi Moyo, he probably gives up 20 kgs to the South African fly half. But, he's still got time, and he's quick, like you said. So if he can keep on developing, same with a few of those other guys, like Mosisi Bassin, I think is going to end up similar to his brother, getting a Super Rugby contract at some point in time. But, yeah, very exciting. One thing that's always guaranteed is the under-20s, no matter where it is in the world, no matter the weather, like they had awful conditions. I think it was last year, wasn't it, how some of the games even got postponed or cancelled. I think Australia-Georgia was the match that got called off. But whether it's 35 degrees or absolutely bucketing down, they are still thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the good thing about, we are a little bit older. That's the good thing about youth. You just have that enthusiasm. They're young, they're enthusiastic. They want to show the world what they can do. So they're always, it's always like 100%. It's always like full speed ahead, and that's what I love. That they're not thinking. None of these boys are thinking, 6 years down the line or something like that. Like, we want it now, and we want to show the world what we can do. We're trying to get our professional contracts, and they're doing everything for it.
I just saw it when they sang the national anthems, or when the New Zealand guys did the haka, the passion.
It's there.
When the Argentinians were crying, they normally always cry.
They always cry, the Argentinians.
But the passion, it just fills me with so much, I don't know, love for rugby. I don't know. We watch a lot of football as well, and football players, they hardly sing.
Rugby's just a different animal.
People
in rugby are just different, and it's enjoying. And I can't wait for the next few years to see all these young talents. If it's the Argentinians. I mean, they got a lot of good talent there as well. The French, the New Zealanders, all the stuff. Just to see these guys come through, it's always beautiful to see something develop.
Yeah.
And I mean, the highlights package or like the promo that they do beforehand when you see the likes of Colby, Artie, Savia, and all of those guys,
Tomorrow,
like it shows that, it all feeds into those senior sides. You just got to give them that little bit more time. But yeah, I have no. What was
Does
that? Sorry.
anybody know where is the next under-20 World Championships?
Oh,
I'm not sure.
I'm not too sure. Is it? It would
Google
be.
it.
Oh, you got the Google.
He's gonna
I like
Google
how
it.
he slid off to the side.
No,
Like he's
you
gone
see,
into
that's
the
what
office.
that's what I did that on purpose, that I couldn't hop the limelight. No, but it must probably could be somewhere again in the southern hemisphere, I guess, because it was in the northern hemisphere now. Maybe. But
Argentina, I thought was mentioned a little while ago, but I don't know whether or not that's just where people said maybe it could happen rather than where it is going to.
Is the under-20s every year?
Chile.
I think Chile, is it?
In Chile, in South
Chile to
America.
stage the World Cup Under-20 Challenge Cup in 2026.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. South America.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool.
Does that mean Chile would have to qualify, or are they a little bit
No,
similar
they'll
to
get the
Spain?
spot.
I guess they'll get the
The
free
spot.
spot.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic. But now I'm really looking forward to this Saturday matchup. Tell me, what are you doing? What streams are you all doing on Saturday? You gonna have a busy day?
Yeah, it's going to be hectic. I've got on Friday night, I'm doing Scotland versus Samoa.
Same as
That's,
us. Yeah.
Yep. And then Saturday will be France, New Zealand,
Yeah.
Australia, British and Irish Lions for the first test. That's going to be a big one to see whereabouts the Aussies are at this point in time. South Africa versus Georgia. And then after that, I will be doing the final, South Africa versus New Zealand in the under-20s. And then potentially England, USA, if it's being shown here in New Zealand, might be worth a little bit of a look. Although also by then I might be like a zombie because it would have been a pretty long day.
But the New Zealand France game and the Lions and Australia kind of they cross over, right?
Not quite with the time zone. It's the same starting time for the Lions as that match that was most recently. So 10 p.m. New Zealand time compared to the 7 p.m.-ish start time for New Zealand France. So if you guys are doing both, you'll be able to, unless you're in a car, of course.
We're only going to do the.
We're still in the discussion phase because it's going to be a long day.
We still got the boxing later on as well.
Yes, because we're going to do the boxing after the under-20s as well. So yeah, it should be interesting.
It's going to be a long
But
day.
that under-21, that's the, you know what? That's actually the one I'm most looking forward to. And then afterwards, I think my second one, I would definitely go with the Lions game against the Wallabies because I think the French will win easy. The New Zealanders will win easy on. Sorry about that. Just trying to see if all your New Zealand fans are still awake. No, the New Zealand will obviously beat the French. I think South Africa will walk over Georgia. So the two games that I think is going to be close and exciting are the Wallabies and then obviously the under-20s. Those are the two I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think that under-20 game has potential of being game of the weekend.
Yes,
and the great news about it is the fact that South Africa won this game, so they aren't, because the third place playoff game's on at the same time as the Springboks. So then, of course, that would have taken a lot away from the viewers there. But the fact that this is straight after, like people will be able to watch it while they're getting the prize fired up, or I'm sure by then they're already fully fired at that point. But
not just
it's going to be a big weekend for a lot of people, I would say. But nonetheless, we do thank you all very much for being here for this one. We probably could talk for another couple hours, but we better let
a long day.
South Africans go to sleep. It will be 10:50 at the moment, but once again, massive win, 48 points to 24. A huge congratulations to the Junior Boks. They will face the Junior All Blacks in the final, taking place, if it is South African time, Saturday, 8:30 p.m. If you're in New Zealand, the nice early Sunday, 6:30 a.m. start. But of course, be sure to check out Vic and Wern's YouTube channel if you haven't already. Just before we go, we'll get the link up so that you guys can check it out. Also, if you're into your boxing, as they just said, they have got the boxing coming up a little bit further in the future. And also, I'll let you guys do the plug, but launching a new rugby show that just took place today.
Yes, well, are you going to? He's good in the plugs. We're going to let Vern do the plug here.
So we did start a new rugby show this afternoon. It starts at 5 o'clock Central European time. It's called DEFCON Rugby. After that, there's DEFCON levels there for the military. And it's about a quarter of an hour, all about rugby, latest news and stuff like that. And it's daily from Monday to Friday, 5 o'clock Central European time. So please come check it out.
Yeah.
And I assume that's also alongside your daily sports in general one.
That's
Daily
what I'll
Sports
say.
Show. That's at 7 o'clock in the morning, Central European time. The last 24 hours of sports. Check that out as
But
well.
we're going to have you on the rugby show. The minute we set up that we can invite you, because you're the savant, you got all this technical stuff that you're coming on our DEFCON show. I know it's not a great time in the afternoon for you at 5 o'clock Central European time. That's like
But
12 o'clock, 1 o'clock
tape
in the
a
morning.
show maybe.
But we'll do not a live one, maybe we'll do a tape show a little bit earlier, something like that.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that one out. But hey, thanks again for letting us on your show,
man.
No worries at all. I think you guys possibly underestimate my sleep schedule brokenness at the moment. I'll probably still be awake even if it was on at like 5 a.m. in the morning, to be honest. But looking forward to it. But nonetheless, we do thank you all very much for tuning in. Of course, like I said, be sure to check out these lads' channels. They are doing some great stuff over there. If you have any liking of any sport, they pretty much have you covered. And we're going to hopefully, with a little bit of luck, be doing a few more things in the future.
Perfect. That sounds great, man.
Sounds great.
And
Thanks
unless,
a lot, Hamish.
thank you all very much for being here, and we will see you all for the next one.
Ciao, guys.